The east is where we're from. The 12 tribes of Israel. In 721 BC, the Assyrian king, he took us down, we fell. With a great escape we went through the Euphrates. The Lord held the water still. To a land where no mankind dwelt, we went. The 12 tribes of Israel. That's who we be. Manasseh, the Cubans. We from Puerto Rico, and Valley from the Isles of Hawaii. The Lord is calling back Israel. Zebulon from Panama.
All right.
Yeah, the North American Indians.
Testing 1, 2.
The Dominicans. The highest gathering Israel.
The Arabs and Africans told us
at gunpoint.
Together our wives and children then sold us.
In the belly of these great ships we traveled in fear. By the rivers of Babylon we found our brothers here.
Together us
in Colombia, Reuben from Australia, Issachar, the Mexicans. A highest gathering Israel. Judah, the Negroes, Benjamin, the West Indians, Levi, the Haitians.
The highest gathering in Israel.
Reuben from Australia, Issachar, the Mexicans. That's who we be. Judah, the Negroes, Benjamin, the West Indians, Levi, the Haitians, Manasseh, the Cubans, Ephraim from Puerto Rico, and Valley from the Isles of Hawaii. The Lord is calling back Israel. Zebulon from Panama, yeah, the North American Indians, Simeon, the Dominicans, the highest gathering Israel.
All right, one more song, and we're jumping right in. A higher power's with me. They think they can lie to us.
Lie to me. I see it's written all over your face. Scientific intricity.
They create out in space.
You created out in space. Oh yeah.
Come on in.
You can do what you wanna do.
To have a host
with no voice and now. You can think how you wanna think now. But you can't stop us. The truth is rising. But to lose, we refuse. I will go down without a fight. You think I can't see what you're doing to me? Yeah, you cannot defeat me. 'Cause I'm out of your league. My hand on your heel, I'm holding
for not see what I spit and push you in shot like electrical current. So current, leaving you paralyzed. And this truth is so amplified while your ego's reduced in size. We a menace to your society, taking your kingdom violently. Pick a paddle to the battle, we could be here in a valley of an alley with the matter, it's a matter of time. They gonna come, but we done, you be the Messiah. I run the race until I finish. A higher power giving me the ability. Chosen people with no love of a mystery. We won't stop.
You think that I can't see? Hey, what you doing to me? Yo, you cannot defeat me. Cause I'm out of your league. My hand on your heel, I'm pulling through. A step ahead of you. You think that I can't see? You know I with me. Oh.
They think that we can't see, but a highest power is with the children of Israel right now. First and foremost, I would like to thank you all for your presence. I'm Elder Ricard Shiara, along with the elders in the background, for a most timely broadcast. A most timely broadcast. Before going in, I would like to make sure that an announcement is done that, yes, we are taking enrollments for October 31st. First week of the Hebrew Bible Academy will be the creation of the universe. So we're taking enrollments now. So just so that our people are not working around the clock in the last minute, I'm asking if you're going to enroll, make sure you do it as soon as possible so that we can get it out of the way and focus on the teachings, okay? So if you wish to be a part of the Hebrew Bible Academy, please go to historytimes.org to enroll. History Times, you're already requesting jungle. I'm going to play that today. Don't worry about it tonight. But staying on task here, you go to historytimes.org. That's where you go to enroll. Again, it's only $150 for 3 full months. You get the PDFs. You get us working around the clock to make sure you have the recordings in case you have to work. Okay, we have administration making sure that they get you the emails on time. And hey, you get the news. News like none other in the whole earth. Okay. On top of that, Elder Lawyer goes into Hebrew 101. Because learning the Hebrew language is getting familiar with the letters isn't that hard when you look at it with the English. And Elder Lawyer teaches how you can actually be able to break down words just by looking at the English language in your Bible. Okay, we got Hebrew 101, and also we have your lessons. A lot of people out there are confused to a lot of things, wondering what's going on. How is it you have a bunch of Israelites out there who know they're Israel, but yet God's people cannot come together due to so many diverse doctrines out there? That's answered in the academy also, okay? Because there was different doctrines during the time of Christ. And if we couldn't come together while he was here, understand that there's no group anywhere that's going to join the children of Israel together when it's prophesied that Christ would bring that remnant together upon his return. So those that were following Christ's doctrine at that time in the same spirit would be what? They would lean towards following the same doctrines today. If you would Pharisaical doctrine against Christ, if you don't believe in the baptism, the Holy Spirit, the fruits of the Spirit, then you're going to link into other doctrines that links more so with the spirit you're under. Whether it's Pharisee, Sadducee, scribe, or Christ's doctrine. So all of those things and more are answered in the Hebrew Bible Academy. It's about doctrine. Why? What I've found out in this walk, all Israel is not of Israel. Okay? And the dividing line comes down to Christ's doctrine. That's it. Christ is the dividing line. So We handle that in Israelite doctrine within the academy. I'm going to also go into finding the Ark of the Covenant, the discovery of the UFOs and what the government has been hiding concerning them, that really these are not any alien lives anywhere but the controllers of this realm who have set up governments to control the people. I'm going to go into that. The true leaders of this earth who control the governments and the politicians of this earth. Guess what, folks? You're going to find out that no one can vote these particular beings in office. They control the offices. And we're going to identify the fallen angels according to the Bible. You can only get that here in the Hebrew and Bible Academy. Okay. Also, we're going to be going into, because soon we'll be out there again, according to the scriptures. Yes, the Israelites' tribulation in the wilderness. We're going to talk about that. Okay. So all of that and more. Okay. We'll be in the Hebrew and Bible Academy. Like I said, it's only $150 for 3 full months of serious information that you cannot find anyplace else. You pay $75 the first month, $75 the second month, and that you're tied in. You're finished for the complete 3 months. Sit back and enjoy the academy. And keep in mind, it doesn't matter if you're busy, if you have to work that Sunday. It doesn't matter, okay? Because yes, you have the convenience of looking into your email once you get off work or the next day to actually follow and be in tune with the whole broadcast as if you're there. All right. Now, again, a lot of work goes into this, a lot of work to make it, to make it one of the best experiences you would ever have learning the word. And we work around the clock to make sure that, that the academy end up becoming more than what you've ever thought you would be a part of. So go to historytimes.org to enroll. All right. historytimes.org. Let's jump right into the broadcast now. It's 7:07, and I'll be opening up the calls because I would really like to interact with the brothers and sisters on this particular topic. That's right. Now, let me make a disclaimer before going into this topic, okay? Because this topic tonight will be very controversial, okay? But we're going to try to stay balanced according to the word and non-judgmental, okay? Non-judgmental. Why? Because we've all together have fallen short of the glory of the Most High. It's not about judging people. It's highlighting something that according to the Bible that must be explained. Okay? Let me make it clear. I have no axe to grind or have any personal issues against any person based on their race. No, I have no problem. We have no problem with this church. It doesn't matter your race, okay? It doesn't matter right now what sin one could be in right now. Be it in the world dealing with promiscuity or whatever the case, homosexuality, incest, bestiality, whatever it is. Keep in mind, I don't have any personal axe to grind against any person because at the end of the day, we all will see the judge. What we're here to do is to bring understanding according to the Most High that would give what? Every person out there an opportunity to repent. That means to change. To change. And do what's right according to the Most High. And no one can actually understand how to do that without a moral code instilled. What we're talking about tonight is the moral code according to God, which is written in the Bible, the Most High's laws, statutes, and commandments. It doesn't matter what the Christians are talking about concerning that, claiming that the laws are done away with. Christ said, "Think not that I come to destroy the law or the prophets. I come not to destroy, but to fulfill." If Christ destroyed the law and the prophets, he would be destroying what was written of him in the Old Testament. So that's utterly ridiculous, claiming that Christ came to do something contrary to his Father. So let's set the record straight there. Okay? You believing in the New Testament doesn't give anyone a license to sin on purpose. Okay? So let me put that out there right there. They've been lying in the modern day Western churches. And I'm going to say not all Christian churches, but the majority of churches out there have been straight lying concerning what grace is according to the Bible. But yet I digress. You see the topic of the lesson or the discussion tonight. The vindictive spirit of Sodom. The vindictive spirit of Sodom. Why? Because it's one thing to say, well, okay, I'm a victim who needs extra political protection based on me being bullied or someone doing things against the law against me. Guess what? Hey, who can fight against not standing? Who would actually not stand for a victim? But that's not the point. I want to talk about the vindictive spirit of Sodom. People who would use the victim status as a cover to attack others. I'm going to talk about that. It's one thing to say I'm a victim. It's another thing to use that protection to harm others. So it's upon us to do what? To set a standard according to the Most High. To talk about how we can actually defend ourselves against vindictive Sodomites. Not those who are victims and are struggling with whatever they're dealing with and are looking to actually repent and stand along with others who would like to preserve righteousness. I'm not talking about those people. We're going to talk about that today. The vindictive spirit of Sodom. And it comes down to the righteous must now gain control. We must now, if you're looking to stand for something right, that's what righteous is. Not to say that you're holier than thou, but you're seeking to do justice and be right according to the Almighty. The righteous must now gain control against the victim's narrative. Those who would like to do right and respect nuclear family and a family according to God, according to the Bible, must now gain control of the narrative. We must now gain control of the narrative and say, you know what? Enough is enough. At one point, we thought it was because y'all claimed y'all wanted equal statuses to be married because whatever the case is. Guess what? The law was passed where y'all can do that. Even though the Bible defines what marriage is, no one stopped you from ever doing it before. Hey, knock yourself out. It was one time where people being victimized or bullied because they weren't like the strong masculine young men growing up and they were teased. I agree that no one need to be bullied or no one need to be teased. Okay, but let me make it clear. All people should be protected by that. It shouldn't be a special status or law passed. When I was growing up, I was bullied. I was teased. It had nothing to do with a sexual persuasion. Bullies are going to be bullies. So extra law shouldn't be made because someone's bullied. Okay, let me put that out there. But I'm going to go in. The righteous now must gain control of the victim narrative. Why did I frame it that way? Because it seems like those who are trying to do right and preserve tradition has now become the victims. Has now become the victims. And we're going to talk about that by first laying a moral foundation. Since the conversation is out there concerning sexuality, we must now define what's moral sexually according to the Bible first. And then we're going to ask, is anything wrong with these laws that were set up to keep a traditional moral code within a society? We must set the standard first, because it seems as if the media, the liberal media, whoever they are looking to cloud the understanding of what sexual morality is. Or not just sexual morality, what a family traditionally is, and what was the reason for two people coming together in the first place. We're going to talk about that today. All right? So get ready. I want y'all to make sure you call in 515-605-9327. What we'll be discussing is the vindictive spirit of Sodom. Now, I'm going to bring Elder Lawyer in one moment. But before I do so, let's set the stage. Let's set the program for what we'll be talking about today. All right. During the late 1800s, there was a 33-degree Mason, an American writer by the name of Albert Pike. Okay, right now you can find his statue 1 block away from the White House, Washington, D.C. Albert Pike, he so happened to have been Jewish. I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but it's good to know, because why? Every time something happens when it comes to our people, usually the religion or what we believe is brought up. Okay? Because obviously the media believes and others believe that there's some tie-in to someone's ideology or their impact on society based on the religion they follow. So, and I'm going to use Israelites as an example. Anytime there's something negative that comes out where someone who believes they're Israel, typically a black person, they would automatically try to promote that as the all to end all of any negative because an Israelite did it. But we cannot do the same. We can't say, well, hold up, is there something within their religion that allows systematic racism and oppression and destruction on a people? I don't know. I don't claim to know. But I thought since they would like to bring that up, then when it comes to other races of people, we need to start going into their religion to find out if there's something within that ideology, adverse to society or our people, right? But let's digress. Albert Pike, he wrote a book called Morals and Dogma. Okay? Albert Pike was an American author, poet, orator, editor, lawyer, and jurist who served as an Associate Justice of Arkansas Supreme Court in exile from 1864 to 1865. He died in Washington, D.C., 1981. He was heralded as someone to be remembered, obviously, because they have a statue of him 1 block away from the White House. Now, I'm not here to give any of us or talk about this particular man's life. It's just something that he said, which was, I would say, prophetic. Let's see. It was prophetic. Let's get it here. I think I have it. One moment. Let's get it. One moment. Let me see. Right here. Albert Pike made this quote from his words under Morals and Dogma in the late 1800s. He stated, as a 33-degree Mason, "We shall unleash the nihilist and the atheist. We shall provoke a great social cataclysm." Now, I'm going to highlight these words here so you can see it. We, So obviously, this is more than just Albert Pike. Now, I'm going to let you, it's open to discussion on who the we are, but hey, again, his statue is 1 block away from the White House. We shall unleash the nihilist and the atheist. We shall provoke a great social cataclysm, which in all its horror will show clearly to all nations the effect of absolute atheism. So they had an agenda to bring the earth into unbelief, to create an atheistic society, which now more people would claim to be spiritual than Christians. When someone say, well, I'm not really a Christian, or I don't believe in Christ or the Bible, I'm spiritual, they're Satanist. What they don't want you to hold them down to any moral standard as to why they claiming they're spiritual. But they still would like to be respected as one who believe in God. So you have to watch these words, these satanic words out there that Satanists use. Well, I don't have, because if they say that they are under a particular religion, that would hold that person to what? A moral standard. But the trick is to tell you that they're spiritual. And by doing so, you don't know exactly what they believe and what their moral standards are. Okay? Satanists are spiritual. Okay? So let me make it clear. It says, we shall unleash the nihilists and atheists, and we shall provoke a great social cataclysm, which in all its horror will show clearly to all nations the effect of absolute atheism, right? Atheism, the origins of savagery, making people inhumane and or savage like animals, and most bloody turmoil. Then everywhere, the people will be forced to defend themselves. So they want the citizens of the world on the defense, in a defensive posture. Forced to defend themselves against the world minority of the world revolutionaries, and will exterminate those destroyers of civilization and the multitudes disillusioned with Christianity, whose spirits will be from the moment without direction and leadership. So the outcome from setting up an atheistic system is to do what? To make it where the people are without any spiritual guidance before Christ returns. And anxious of an ideal, but without knowledge where to send its adoration. Now, mind you, Albert Pike was a Satanist. It says, without direction and leadership, and anxious for an ideal, but without knowledge where to send its adoration, will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer, brought finally out into public view. Now, a lot of you don't know that the Satanists behind closed doors, the Knights Templar of Rome, worship Lucifer as the Baphomet, part male and part woman, a hermaphrodite, male and female, which would be determined today as transgender beings. So a lot of you are waiting for somebody to walk out of the White House with horns on, but it's the idea of the Baphomet that would become the norm accepted amongst society. This is what Albert Pike was talking about, the acceptance of Lucifer out front. So when you see the flag, when you see trans, when you see all these other sexualities, understand this plan was well thought out by the Satanist well before our current time. It says, a manifestation which will result from a general reactionary movement which will follow the destruction of Christianity and atheism. That means the belief in anything, but conquered and exterminated at the same time, causing a conflict before the two, because why? What? A nation divided against itself cannot stand, and eventually Satan destroys everyone. Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. Shalom.
Shalom. I'm bringing you right in right now.
All right.
It's good to see you, brother. I want to jump right in.
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
Before we go into some of the stories I'm headlining today, all right, I want to go into the Bible so that everyone out there cannot claim they didn't receive the moral standard according to God. Okay, according
Absolutely.
to the Bible. All right? Because they would make people believe that there's multiple sexes out there. It depends on how you think you are, your sex is, or whatever the case is. And a lot of people don't know even the word sex in of itself is a deceptive tool, tactic on the psychology of people. Sex, the word sex come from the Latin. Sex breaks down to the number what, Elder Lawyer? Tell him. Come on.
6.
Sex is 6. 6, 6, 6. So immorality would lead to the mark of the beast. So we need to reel this back. For those who don't know, we're going to talk about the vindictive spirit of Sodom. There's a vindictive spirit about it. It's not about being a victim and needing help. It's about gaining political power over the population and using your political protection, as a shield while attacking the world. So it's really time that we realize that, listen, it was never about what they politically said it was. And the majority of the people who are suffering in this earth are believers. And believe it or not, they are aiming all of this destruction at taking and destroying our children. And it's time for the righteous now to gain control against the victim narrative. You're not a victim if you make those who once supported you victims. And I'm going to talk about that today. Elder Lawyer, I'm going to need you to scoot right over, if you don't mind, to your right a little bit in the center, because I really appreciate it. Thank you. I appreciate it. So let's set the moral standard first, because we understand, Elder Lawyer, that Albert Pike, his Satanist, he's burning in hell right now. We understand that he set a precedent. He set something forward. He talked about the governments coming together to ferment 2 wars that would lead to what it says the Jews getting Palestine. And at the very end, there will be a cataclysm, a war between the Christian world and the Muslim war. So all these things were actually progressively moved forward politically by what? The system, the power structure.
Right.
The power structure did all these self-fulfilled prophecies so that they can gain power at the very end to have Palestine. But then that's not the end all to, that's not the all to end all. At the very end, he said at the very end, in order for them to actually dismantle those who believe in Christ, they would let loose the nihilists and the unbelievers, those who believe nothing, and use atheistic teachings as well as straight sexual perverts to join together to actually aim at destroying the Christian mindset. Now, there's a reason for that, because it was prophesied it's the Spirit of Christ that would destroy the powers of this world. So we're going to talk about it. Let's first, Elder Lawyer, let's break down a moral standard real quick. Let's go to Leviticus 18:1.
Yes, sir.
Now, before we get that, let's get the definition of marriage according to the Bible. Okay, not according to the Webster's New Revised Definition. Let's get what marriage is according to the Bible.
Yes, sir.
Let's
The
go.
book of Genesis chapter 2, verse number, I'm going to jump down to verse number 20.
Okay.
And Adam gave names to all cattle and to all the fowl of the air and to every beast of the field. But for Adam, there was not found an help meet for him.
So what? A what?
But for Adam, there was not found an help meet for him.
So let's make it clear. Men was made to have full dominion and power. Okay. Now, what the world would call toxic masculinity is what Adam was. There's nothing toxic about what? Dominance. And being a leader. Having an objective. Having power. Masculinity. There's nothing toxic about that. That's a man. So the Satanists would make you believe that a man should become gentle. No, a man is a man. A man is a defender. Okay? Now, a man shouldn't be abusive. That's against the Most High. He shouldn't have hatred in his heart. He shouldn't be insensitive. But no one wants a weak man. Okay? Women were born or made, not born, but made out of the man. Woman actually mean from man. Okay? Now, it says, the Most High seen that Adam was alone and decided to give him, speaking of God, the one the world ignorantly calls God, but his name is Ahiah, according to the ancient Hebrew. He said man shouldn't be alone. So he would do what?
It says that he would find an helpmeet for him.
Now let's discuss helpmeet, because here lies the real purpose for women. Women operating outside of this role can never find happiness. Okay? Help meet. That means you're here to help a man sustain a legacy so that you're not forgotten. Whatever that man's objectives are, you are to help him in succeeding that. And that doesn't make you weak or less than. That makes you living in your purpose. Any person who try to operate with and lead with their credentials and all that and your successes according to this world, but not help meeting a man, I'm speaking of a woman in particular, doesn't matter. Those are not successes according to the Most High. If you're not helping meet a man's agenda, a man's purpose. And anytime anyone work outside of those functions where a man isn't dealing with a purpose, it's failure. When a woman isn't helping meet for a legacy, that's failure. Because we were both meant to have a purpose that would sustain a legacy according to God's purpose. Women were made in this earth to be a helpmeet to a man. There's nothing wrong with that. Doesn't matter what the Western world tells you. Okay? And a woman, at the end of the day, when she becomes wise and of age, she realized all the accolades and chasing success in this society without having a man was for nothing, because there's nothing to leave behind called legacy. Okay? What we're giving you is the initial definition for marriage according to the Almighty. Go ahead, Elder Lawyer.
21. And the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept, and took one of his ribs, and closed up the flesh instead thereof. And the rib which the Lord God had taken from man made he a woman, and brought her unto the man. And Adam said, This is now bone of my bones, and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife.
Shall cleave unto his what?
Shall cleave unto his wife.
Marriage clearly defined according to the Bible. There's no in-betweens on that. If you try to define it other than this, you're falling into what? The trick that the Satanists had under what? Under Albert Pike. Okay. To where you would leave your family open to be destroyed by the atheist and the nihilist. They would begin to skew the true understanding and purpose of marriage. Read.
Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh.
And they shall be one flesh. That's marriage. That's clearly defined. Any marriage outside of that is anti-Christ, anti-Bible, anti-God. Okay, let's set the standard now. Let's go to Leviticus 18:1.
Yes, sir. Leviticus 18, verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, I am the Lord your God. After the doings of the land of Egypt, wherein ye dwelt, shall ye not do. And after the doings of the land of Canaan, whither I bring you, shall ye not do. Neither shall ye walk in their ordinances.
Now, the reason why I went here, Elder, initially is because the Most High made it clear that the Egyptians and the Canaanites were dealing with perversions. They were worshiping the Baphomet. Okay. There was no lines when it came to sexual behavior with the Egyptians. Okay. The Greeks and Romans picked that up too. So our God say, nah. You're not to do what you witnessed amongst those nasty Egyptians. The Egyptians were immoral, and I judged them for it. And that's why when you look at the conscious community today, and I'm going to go into that in the academy too, Elder Lawyer, why there is no moral line concerning sexuality amongst the conscious community. What they're hiding is what? They're dealing with the same perversions that the Bible was speaking about against Egyptians. That's why you're going to always hear about molestation amongst them. Dr. York tried to build his own little Egypt over in Atlanta. And guess what? It came to find out they were dealing with ritualistic dealings with children. Why? This is why I'm going to tell you, folks, the verse we're reading right now is the reason why the conscious community are trying to tell you that the Bible's tampered with. Don't go into the Bible. Because why? You'll begin to read a moral standard and look over to them and say, hold up. They're dealing with the same sexual perversions of ancient Egypt. They don't want you to accuse them according to the word, so they'd rather dismiss it right out. Come on.
And if I can throw one question in there, obviously what we're about to read, if God is saying that these are the doings of the land of Egypt and the land of Canaan, and these were social normalities, is it possible for, there to be acts that have become socially normal that we are not to accept? Or do we accept it just because it is a social norm?
Great point. And I'm glad you put that out there, because in Egypt, those were social norms, but our people stayed separate from that. We could. Why? Because we lived separately in Goshen. But it was fully known when our people were in Egypt that for them to go out and find a little boy or a little girl or deal with the same sex, that was the norm amongst Egyptians. And it wasn't frowned upon. The families that wanted to deal with the traditional lifestyle, guess what? The Egyptians didn't oppose their lifestyle on those that was living traditional amongst Egyptians. But neither did the traditional people, neither did they frown upon the Egyptians who were dealing in sexual perversions. They just allow each other to coexist. And our guy was like, well, no, we're not going to set no standard where it's about live and let live. Where as long as it's not bothering me, as long as it doesn't affect me, then it's okay. No, our God wasn't dealing like that, because eventually someone is going to run over the tracks. Right. One of our children on either side is going to run over the tracks. See? So our God knew that, no, you just can't allow sin to fester under the live and let live banner. Because the children are going to, through their curiosity, going to run over the tracks one way or the other. And whatever's going to, and guess what? One is going to infect, not effect, infect the other. Okay. Read on.
Yes, sir. Leviticus 18, verse number 4.
Yes.
Ye shall do my judgments and keep mine ordinances to walk therein.
Yeah.
I am the Lord your God.
So so listen, the God of the Bible, the God who sent Christ to give us another opportunity, another swing at these laws to try to do them. The God of this Bible gave what? Us a moral code concerning relations and how we should relate to others. Read.
Verse number 5.
Come on.
Ye shall therefore keep my statutes and my judgments, which if a man do, he shall live in them. I am the Lord.
Come on.
None of you shall approach to any that is near of kin to him to uncover their nakedness.
Hold up. Read that again.
None of you shall approach to any that is near to kin of him to uncover their nakedness.
None of you shall approach to any that is near of kin to him. Now, the Bible is going to make it even clearer concerning what it means near to kin. You're not supposed to deal with your blood, with your siblings, with your parents. Now, here's one issue we have, Elder Lawyer, in this new society that have just developed out of Sodom and Gomorrah. For the sake of relations, for a relationship, we'll bring a total stranger in our house, be it a man or a woman, not knowing their sexual tendencies and their upbringing and how these people may come into your home and begin to predatorize the children. But I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to talk about this. See, when lines are clearly defined, judgment is swift. You're able to isolate when someone is doing something out of place and root it out of the way. So we're going to talk about clearly defined laws concerning relations today. Read it.
The nakedness of thy father or the nakedness of thy mother shalt thou not uncover.
You're not to deal with your mother or your father. Okay. Now, let's also discuss the different ideas and ideologies when it comes to the husband, the father, or the mother. We're not supposed to sexualize our children, because that falls under the same thing. Having a little girl dressed sexually clad, dancing and gyrating, that falls under the same thing. Through the ideology, you're really doing the same thing. In order for you to sexually dress your child like that, something in you draws you into that spirit. There's an attraction, a perverted attraction where you'll think that's cute. But in your mind, you have already sexualized your children. See? And I'm bringing this out, Elder Lawyer, because a lot of people don't, sometimes the majority of our people, Elder Lawyer, they look at the end result and don't look at the mindset that leads to perversions and the act in of itself.
Right.
Because the Bible tell you it's conceived in the mind first. And then after the lust, it brings forth sin. So a lot of people look at this and say, well, hold up. Yeah, that's wrong, mother and father. But yet we'll sit back and see our children, our young girls, sexualized by their parents and paraded in public sexually after being what? Dressed by their parents. That means the parents conceived their children's sexuality before they clothed them. They conceived it in their mind that this is sexy. That's a perverted man or woman. That's a pervert that would allow their children to what? To be sexualized. See, and I wanted to bring the laws first because there's too many gray lines anymore. Finish reading, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. Verse number 8. The nakedness of thy father's wife shalt thou not uncover. The
nakedness of thy father's wife. A man dealing with his father's wife. Or someone his father used to deal with, or vice versa. Things that have become societal norms in our community. We know things like this happens and are silent about it, right? Read.
The nakedness of thy father's wife shalt thou not uncover. It is thy father's nakedness.
Go. It belongs to your father. Reuben. The Aborigines of Australia are suffering today because of what their father did. Okay. Reuben, the firstborn, went and dealt with our father's Jacob's wife, Bilhah, and lost the position of the firstborn for this same sin written in the Bible. How much more would our society be, our neighborhoods be, if these particular laws I'm reading today were enforced? Read.
Verse number 9. The nakedness of thy sister, the daughter of thy father, or daughter of thy mother, whether she be born at home or abroad, even their nakedness shalt thou not uncover.
Even thy nakedness thou shalt not uncover. Because what? Everyone talks about R. Kelly, and it seems like we want to actually criminalize some people when it benefit the ruling class. But yet we don't really want to stop these things, or we would deal with it at the root. The root of R. Kelly's issue is when he discussed coming up where his sister did things to him. But no one discusses that at all. So are we really trying to solve our systemic issues as a people if we only look at the end of it to accuse without getting to the root of things and stopping it at the root? What are we doing to make sure other R. Kellys aren't cultivated and groomed in our society? See? He said his sister coming up from him like 5, 6 years old made him do all types of things. and it sexualized him and gave him, he probably don't understand it because he's under an arrested development, and the Bible pulls that out. It's called an inordinate affection. So unless we're trying to get to the root issue, I don't want to hear anything about what people are talking about trying to accuse someone when this is allowed on a regular basis and the children aren't protected. Now, at the end, the enemy benefits because the enemy needs people with low IQs who sexualize, who they can actually get a dossier on to use for their talents until what? Until that particular person becomes unuseful. So the system has a need to keep us sexualized and keep us perverted and molested because they can use us as adults, walking around, looking like adults, seem like adults, but are living in a state of arrested development because we didn't get over what happened to us at the age of 3, 4, and 5. So that's why I'm going to this law so we can set a standard. Because everyone wants to point fingers and blame and deal with the rumor and deal with all this other stuff and not realizing the root of our issues is sin. And not understanding where the lines are according to the Bible. And many of us in our communities don't want to enforce that line. And this is why the Sodomites have gained the upper ground. Come on, other lawyer.
Verse number 10. The nakedness of thy son's daughter or of thy daughter's daughter, even their nakedness shalt thou not uncover. Or theirs.
Your son's daughter or your daughter's daughters. Nephews and nieces. How many times we've heard in our communities, uncles come from down south and all that and come over and watching the kids, and next thing you know, the parents don't know about it until the child is what, 15, 16, 17. Sometimes the parents are so checked out, they don't even know something happened to their children until their children become adults. Here it is, you got a brother who needed a place to stay. And no one asked him, hold up, dude. You're going from house to house. Why aren't you standing on your own 2 feet? Why? And you thinking as your brother, well, listen, I'm going to look out for my brother. But yet you bring him in your house and you have children. And your daughter is growing into her own, growing into a woman. And your brother is looking at her because he didn't grow up with her as someone, to protect or someone that he would care about. He sees this young girl as an opportunity. Right? So let's talk about it. We're talking about the spirit that create Sodom and Gomorrah. A spirit that's cultivated within our communities. And it leads to a vindictive spirit because if a child goes on unprotected, some of them grow up and you know what? They get over it. They understand. They begin to grow and understand it. Or they grow with whatever they're dealing with, but yet they don't feel a need to lash out at society. But there is a segment of those children who never recovers and become what? Vengeful against society. And let's talk about that. Not all of them, but some of them grow, and some of them grow, they have families. It's a thought, they're able to resolve it within themselves and realize that was an evil person, but it doesn't affect me. Some people grow over it and it doesn't affect them. But there is a segment that grows vengeful and become vindictive. And I'm going to talk about that today. Finish reading.
Verse number 10. The nakedness.
We're at Leviticus 18 and 10. Come on.
The nakedness of thy son's daughter or of thy daughter's daughter, even their nakedness shalt thou not uncover.
Come on.
For theirs for theirs is thine own nakedness. The nakedness.
Go ahead. And that's including having anyone wash up your children. Having anyone, and see, and that's what we have to understand, what's allowed in our society that's ignored. It was one time that the only people who seen the nakedness of any child were their parents. They would grow up and be clothed accordingly. That means that you're an infant. That's right. I'm looking at you because I got to clean you off and all that. But when it's time for you, you're able to use the bathroom yourself and all that. That's another adjustment. But only the parents see that. Now we live in a place where we can drop our children off newly born to strangers. Not to say all these people in these particular positions are predators or have a thought to harm your child, but you have to realize predators and sexual deviant people know how to find themselves around the children they predatorize. So you may drop your child off to a place, daycare or whatever, but who knows who's changing your children? Who knows who's looking on your children nakedness? Guess what? Society have made it the norm, where our children believe it's okay for a total stranger to touch their body. And we don't know the ill effects that might have. Now, I grew up in a different time. There was no daycare centers out there. There wasn't all that out there when I was growing up. Let me tell you, when I was growing up, we had cotton cloth diapers where it's safety pins. Your mother used to have to scrub it out and put it in a washing machine to keep changing. When I was growing up, to show you how long that was wild, right? But your parents don't have anybody just changing you. Because what's that doing to the children? Children are believing, they grow up thinking that it's normal for a stranger who has no relation to them at all to touch them. And I'm bringing things to your ideas and your mind that a lot of you never even thought about. And not to say that these people in position has a thought to do that. But folks, it only takes one to get in one of those positions. It only takes one. Come on, verse
11. The nakedness of thy father's wife, or thy father's wife's daughter, begotten of thy father, she is thy sister. Thou shalt not uncover her nakedness.
Thou shalt not cover thy sister's nakedness. Because, folks, everything we're breaking down right now causes serious psychological damage on the child. It develops an inordinate affection. That's what the Bible means by inordinate affection. Children aren't supposed to understand. They're not supposed to have any stimulations or thought of sex in their impressionable years, in their growing years. Sex isn't even supposed to be in the conversation. Or they will grow with an inordinate affection. That's what Satan wants. So now the modern day system, Elder Lawyer, was trying to cover up what really happens at those early ages by claiming this word, born this way, born this way, born this way. So that we can gloss over what? Predators getting to children at an early age. So that we couldn't focus on an adult affecting our children's minds sexually. Come on, let's go.
Verse 12. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy father's sister. She is thy father's near kinswoman.
Come on.
Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy mother's sister, for she is thy mother's near kinswoman.
Your mother's sisters, your aunt. I don't know, a lot of people are sitting back thinking in their mind, we know somebody who's, if not more than one person, have violated these verses up into the 10th verse. Where aunt may come around and see a boy growing up like, oh boy, you getting cute, you getting strong. Oh yeah, you growing into your own. And listen, the mother looking at the aunt like, yeah, you better stay away from my boy, knowing her sister. Come on.
14. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy father's brother. Thou shalt not approach to his wife. She is thine aunt.
Your father's brother, your father's wife, your aunt. She is your aunt. Read.
Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy daughter-in-law. She is thy son's wife. Thou shalt not uncover her nakedness.
Thou shalt not uncover her nakedness. Come on.
Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness, verse 16. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy brother's wife. It is thy brother's nakedness.
Read that again.
Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy brother's wife. It is thy brother's nakedness.
Your brother's wife. It doesn't matter what the circumstances are. It seems like the Most High through the scriptures just prophesied canceling anything that you would find on Jerry Springer. And it doesn't matter if the brother or the brother or the other whatever no longer is with the person. It shouldn't be a thing where a brother will go to another brother and say, yo, bro, you ain't dealing with her no more, man. You know, I think she's feeling me or whatever the case is. If you done with her, you know, it's up to you. Nah, that's a violation. If your brother dealt with her, guess what? She's off limits. If your sister dealt with her, with a man, she's off limits. What I'm bringing forth are moral codes that sustains a society. Read.
17. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of a woman and her daughter.
Oh, how many times you see this? You let a man up in the crib and he's dealing with the woman, but have takes on the daughter too. Man, this sounds like the Brother Polite situation, Elder Lawyer.
Yeah.
That's out there. I can't say allegedly because it's out there now. It's not even alleged. Okay? Where you getting with you say, I got a 2-for-1 deal. Ain't no man around, and you got a daughter growing into womanhood. Now this guy has, the woman is at work, and here it is, and he's dealing with the daughter. Huh? And then eventually it's being hid because everyone is having their time, whatever that is. But at a time where someone isn't getting what they want out of the situation, it was evil from the beginning, but now there's a component of the triangle that's unsatisfied. Now, boom, here come the vindictiveness and all that because of what? The original sin. No woman should let a man, a grown man, around a growing daughter. Let's read it.
Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of a woman and her daughter. Thou shalt not take her son's daughter or her daughter's daughter to uncover her nakedness. For
Man,
they are...
hey, lawyer, Now I see why the conscious community said that they don't want to deal with the Bible. The Bible is tampered with. I mean, I'll tell you, if Dr. York was following these scriptures, he would still be out. He would still be, whatever's teachings he's doing, if he followed these scriptures right here, even though his teachings were false, he would still be out amongst civilians being able to teach. So instead of him trying to discredit the Bible, he should have been upholding it. If he was upholding the Bible, today, Dr. York would be a free man. See? Come on.
Verse 18, neither shalt thou take a wife to her sister to vex her, to uncover her nakedness, beside the other in her lifetime.
Exactly. That means what I said earlier, Elder Lawyer. Get with your old girlfriend's sister, or the sister get with the man to spite her own sister. Can't do that. What happens when a girl or a woman finds out that her own sister dealt with someone she loved or cared about? Folks, lawyer, I'm going to ask you, lawyer, real quick. Does this not sound like our community? But I'm going to ask you this, elder lawyer. Have you ever heard this particular chapter read in the Christian church at all?
My limited time there, no.
Lawyer, I was raised in the church. I have lines of pastors going back to the slave ships in my family on both sides. And I can tell you, I started singing on the choir at the age of 5. Up until the time I found out I was an Israelite, I was a devout Christian. And I'll tell you, not once was Leviticus, the 18th or 19th chapter or the 20th chapter ever read in any service I attended. Not one. Can you imagine this right now being read in a black Christian church? Everybody's looking around like, man, hold up. I repent. Because why? We don't even know, according to God's law, the Bible, what sexual immorality is. Why? It isn't taught in our churches. Read on.
And to answer your first question, the answer to that is this is so common in our communities. And to read the scripture and to read some of the heinous relations that is mentioning, it's not like, usually when you read something heinous, you ask yourself, well, why, what need is there to put that in the Bible? Who's really doing these things? But when you read this chapter, as heinous as it is, it's not one of those things where you ask, why is it in the Bible? Because you see it happen, you hear it happen so often in our communities, it's not even a surprise.
Finish reading.
Verse number 19. Thou shalt not approach unto a woman to uncover her nakedness, as long as she is put apart for her uncleanness.
Okay, as long as she put apart from her uncleanness. The uncleanness is what? A woman's time when she's in her flowers, when she's separated in her flowers. She's under her issue of the month. A woman is not even supposed to be thinking about relations with a man during that time. And a man isn't even supposed to think about laying with a woman when she's issuing. I'm going to tell you. Finish reading.
Verse number 20. Moreover, thou shalt not lie carnally with thy neighbor's wife to defile thyself with her.
That's thinking about the neighbor. Someone you know, someone you trust. Right? Read. And I'm gonna tell you this, folks. What we're reading has become the norm within our society. Whether we say, ooh, that's nasty. Oh my God, I can't believe it. Come on. What we're reading, these storylines have made Tyler Perry almost a billionaire, if he isn't a billionaire already. All the subplots and all that within his movies and all of that, his plays, is based on the scandal. The scandals, the sexual scandals God is against. So it must be something that we can relate to. If his movies become blockbusters and all that, and a lot of money is funneled into his coffers, why? Because we can relate to it. We can relate to it. We don't want to say it. But the Bible tells you where your treasures are, your heart is also. He became almost a billionaire based on scandal. I mean, think about it. One of his greatest characters, his claim to fame, is what? Him dressing like an old black woman. Which is against the Bible. A woman shall not wear what pertaineth to a man, neither shall a man put on woman's clothing. A man should not, it says, a man should not wear what pertaineth to a woman, and neither shall a woman put on man's clothing. Right there. I don't care how well the script is read. I don't care what the underlying story and the lesson we get from the movie. Soon as a man came out with a white wig on, looking like an old black woman, Medea was supposed to get canceled according to God. Straight out. Nah, dude, there's a lot of black women out there who can relish in that role. There's a lot of funny black women out there. We don't need you doing this. Setting the wrong example for what? Masculinity, a black man. But we thought it was funny. The Most High isn't laughing, but the devil is. We were supposed to look at that. And not only that, check it out, Elder Lawyer. You got Medea goes to church. A cross-dressing man in church. The mother of the church, where everyone in the church goes to for advice. In the church. We're going to talk about it. Finish reading.
Verse 21. And thou shalt not let any of thy seed pass through the fire to Moloch.
And it says, pass to the seed to Moloch. Now, the reason I wanted to go here, Elder Lawyer, I had it together before I got you on, is because people don't even realize when we introduce our children to all these sexual perversions that's written of in this chapter, it's actually giving your children over to Satan as a sacrifice. So it's not just the children they kill in child sacrifice. It's the children that's given over for sexual immorality to the system. Come on.
22. Thou shalt not lie with mankind as with womankind. It is abomination.
You shall not deal with a man like the Most High meant in Genesis, the 2nd chapter. With Adam and Eve. It was meant a man shall lie with a woman to produce life. The Bible says you shall not lie down with mankind, a man, as you lieth with a woman. This is what we witnessed in Egypt. Read.
Neither shalt thou lie with any beast to defile thyself therewith. Neither shall any woman stand before a beast to lie down thereto. It is confusion.
It is confusion. Now, Why did our God put this in the Torah? Why? Because this was going on in Egypt, folks. And they have all this satanic type of movies and all that, where you got women laying down with animals, animals with women and all that, and vice versa, men with animals. Caligula, one of the Caesars, was known for laying with animals. Like, nah, this is confusion. That's what the Most High is telling you. A lot of these animals who are brought into those sexual acts are never the same. After that, they would have to put a lot of these animals down. They're so confused. Laying with people. Read.
Verse number 23. Fact number 24. Defile not yourselves in any of these things, for in all these the nations are defiled, which I cast out before you. And the land is defiled, therefore I do visit the iniquity thereof upon it, and the land itself vomiteth out her inhabitants.
Now, folks, usually when it comes to these laws, when breaking one of these laws, usually it has an effect for at least 2 to 3 generations before a people can recover, before a family can recover. It usually takes between 2 to 3 generations, that curse, where one can have children to start over without that curse affecting the children. A generation, according to the Bible, is 50 years. I need you to think about that. So imagine having a whole community who's used to operating in sexual perversions. Think about it. So this is why I'm going to tell you. Satan set it this way as a form of control over our population, over our people. He set it this way. He moved an agenda and attached it to us, knowing how our God feels about it. And they're so vindictive. They're willing to sacrifice the children and not help the children fall to this psychotic behavior. Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir.
Let's get Romans 1 and 26 and 27 in the New Testament.
Okay, Romans 1 and 26. And it says, for this cause, God gave them up unto vile affections, for even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature. And likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burned in their lust one toward another, men with men working that which is unseemly, and receiving in themselves that recompense of their error, which was meet.
Go on.
And even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge.
Read that again.
And even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge.
Since they didn't want to obtain or keep God in their knowledge, read.
God gave them over to a reprobate mind.
He gave them over to a reprobate mind. Now, a reprobate, folks, is a broke mind, a mind that's suspended under arrested development. Well, they'll begin to celebrate the sickness. See? And they'll become vindictive against those who oppose the action. A reprobate mind to a degree where they'll begin to think, you know what? There's nothing wrong with me. There's something wrong with all of you who believe in that God. and have not experienced the fun that it comes with being me. Reprobate, folks. So they'll begin to justify instead of going back and saying, you know what? There was a point of victimhood, a point as a child where someone compromised me. Instead of that becoming their mission to root out the evil to make sure it doesn't happen to another child, they'll turn on society. They'll turn on parents, family. Why? Because that's what they envy. That's what they hate. Because if they had a loving family, they would have been protected. So that when they grow, that becomes their mission. Their mission isn't to stop them from becoming victims. Their mission is payback. Payback. No one stopped that person from harming me as a child. And because of that, I have an axe to grind against society. I'm going to get education. I'm going to get money. I'm going to get political status. And now it's payback. I'm coming after families so that children will know what it means to be unprotected, like I was. Reprobate. Now, not all. Let me make it clear, not all. Because there are people who are living that lifestyle who has serious disdain on how that's being used to dismantle society. So let me make that clear. There's many who struggling with that and know the entry point and would never want their life and what they went through politicized to be used as a political bat against society. So let me make that clear. Finish reading.
Verse number 28. And even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, God gave them over to a reprobate mind to do those things which are not convenient.
So since they didn't want to attain God in their knowledge, to bring some level of resolve, because when you bring God into it, right, you look at the law and say, you know what? That person who did something to me is wrong. What they did was against the law. I'm not the wrong one. I'm not the wrong one. I'm going to live my life how God intended in spite of what that person did. And one day I will face that person, not in vengeance. I will face them and let them know how it affected me. I will let them know I remember what you did to me, and I'm not here to seek vengeance. But you owe me an apology. You owe me that moment that you took from me. And if you're willing to come to the knowledge of what you've produced and what you've done, I'll forgive you. But I'm not going to allow what you did to happen to another child. See, and this is how that person can get over that moment as a child. By not showing their vitriol and vindictive nature against the world and lashing out that way. But facing that predator that did something to them and giving that person an opportunity to be forgiven. And if they don't want that, if they're unrepentant, you realize you probably wasn't the only one. And I'm going to do everything to stop you from harming other children. That's the way it should be. Finish reading.
29. Being filled with all unrighteousness, fornication, wickedness, covetousness, maliciousness, full of envy, murder, debate, deceit, malignity, whisperers, backbiters, haters of God, despiteful, proud, boasters, inventors of evil things, disobedient to parents, without understanding, covenant breakers, without natural affection, implacable, unmerciful, who knowing the judgment of God, that they which commit such things are worthy of death, not only do the same, but have pleasure in them that do them.
Look at that. So it tells you all the spirits that come from one when they become reprobate. They become all those those adjectives we've just described. Whisperers, starting rumors, starting fights, need to keep trouble going, become vindictive. And not only do they have pleasure in doing these things outright in parades and all that, but have pleasure in seeing other people victimized so that they can join more letters to their alphabet. A judgment is coming. Elder Lawyer, before we go, I'm going to show something online real quick, and I'm going to come right back to you.
Absolutely.
There's a university called Regent University, brothers and sisters. Regent University. It's a Christian-based university. Here it is right here. The Regent Difference Christian Leadership to Change the World. Okay? In a nutshell. Right? Now, there was a paper that I read in particular that I would like to share a little bit with you all. I seen this morning when I got up. And it was someone who wrote a paper from that particular school, the university, the Christian university. And it was on Steve Baldwin. Okay. He wrote this. And this was a letter that was actually an academia letter that was written concerning the progressive agendas pushed against believers today. And Steve Baldwin states, lately the gay movement seems to be making large gains in its war on America's Judeo-Christian culture. Gay characters have become the norm on sitcoms. It has become fashionable to attack the Boy Scouts. There's propaganda that inundates many of our public schools. Nearly all the mainstream religious denominations have revised their understanding of biblical teaching concerning their lifestyle. And the gay rights legislative agenda is succeeding beyond the advocates' wildest imaginations. And yet the destructive impact of their lifestyle has become Western civilization is rarely discussed by columnists, reporters, religious leaders, politicians, or by any else for that matter. Even some conservative publications choose to ignore the issue and instead have published the article arguing for greater tolerance for their lifestyle. So the politicians, even the conservatives, are not arguing about the immorality and what's causing all this. They're more so talking about what? Tolerance. You shouldn't have to force anyone to tolerate something. Indeed, on the lifestyle issue, conservatives seem divided between a live and let live attitude, and one that concludes that the lifestyle agenda will have to be curtailed if the Judeo-Christian culture is to survive. However, overwhelming evidence supports the belief that the lifestyle is a sexual deviancy, often accompanied by disorders that have dire consequences for our culture. You see, I'm glad he highlighted that, because it's one thing about their lifestyle, but what impact is it having on us who disagree with that lifestyle for our families? See, that's the piece that isn't discussed. A vast amount of data demonstrating the deviant nature of that lifestyle is ignored by the media, as well as the leadership of the psychological, psychiatric, and medical professions. It is difficult to convey the dark side of the lifestyle culture without appearing harsh. However, it is time to acknowledge that the lifestyle, the behavior, threatens the foundation of Western civilization, the nuclear family. An unmistakable manifestation of the attack on the family unit is the lifestyle's community's efforts to target children, both for their own sexual pleasure and to enlarge the lifestyle's movement, to add more people to their movement. The lifestyle community and its allies, I'm using lifestyle because I don't want to keep saying the word. The lifestyles community and its allies in the media scoff at this argument. They insist it is merely a tactic to demonize the lifestyle. After they argue heterosexual molestation is a far more serious problem, unfortunately, the truth is stranger than fiction. Research confirms that the lifestyle molests children at a rate vastly higher than heterosexuals. And the mainstream lifestyle culture, alphabet culture, commonly promotes sex with children. Now, I've seen this on Netflix where they was showing these white kids being sexualized on Netflix by these people. Now, the lifestyle leaders, the alphabet leaders, repeatedly argue for the freedom to engage in consensual sex with children. And blind surveys reveal a shockingly high number of the alphabet to admit to sexual contact with minors. Indeed, the community is driving the worldwide campaign to lower the legal age of consent. There's movements all around the earth, folks, to move the legal age of consent for intercourse with children, folks. Did y'all know that? The trend comes at the expense of our children's safety because they're trying to do what? They're trying to get to the age of your children's, to lower your children's consent, because it's not about their children. It's about being able to do what? Get access to ours. This trend comes at the expense of our children's safety. The incident in Los Angeles involving group homes operated by the movement and the lesbian adolescent social services is called GLASS, exemplifies this danger. It receives taxpayers' money, minority money, folks, money that used to be for us, to take in troubled youth referred to them by the social service departments of various southern counties in California. Their website should have been warning enough. It believes that some children are born with the lifestyle, a view not backed by any science, and announce that they target youth who are confused about their sexual identities. The website links to a myriad of sites targeting the youth, including one promoting a book that promotes sex with children. The founder and former executive director, Teresa DeCrenzo, edited a book that helps youth discover, a book that was written by grown people. Discover your sexuality. How to find your lifestyle. Now, there's a lot I'm going to cover that I can't cover right now. I'll actually deal with it more in the academy, the 31st, because this paper is off the chains. Okay. And they got doctors within the Christian, within the Christian academia sphere that's talking about this. They was like, listen, it was one thing standing up for victims, but I don't agree with them changing the world concerning our traditional beliefs. And I don't believe in them now politically changing the age of consent to get to more of our children who are not under that lifestyle. Okay, so there are some Christians that are fighting back, that are discussing the ill effects of Albert Pike's agenda to let go the nihilists and the atheists against those who believe in Christ. There are people pushing back, but the problem is the progressive media is pushing the agenda. Now, what have been allowed since then? What has been allowed since we have accepted these lifestyles as the norm, where Lucifer would come out in the front of these particular movements? No wonder there's not that the media would allow Little Nas, a black man, to represent blackness by giving what? Satan a lap dance. This is on purpose, folks. They would never degrade a white image like that. I'm going to show you what's allowed since believers are sitting on their hands, have put the Bible behind them, only to have Satan predatorize our children. Example. There's been this epidemic of so-called philanthropists or Hollywood stars going into Africa and different countries to help underprivileged black people. Have underprivileged children get an opportunity to know what it is to live a rich life outside of the third world country that was made for them to suffer under. I'm going to show you philanthropy at its finest. Here is Sharon Ferris, right? Sharon Ferris from a great, she was a big actor in the early 90s, mid 90s up 2000s, from South Africa. Oh, look at her with her two little daughters. No, brothers and sisters, these are not daughters at all. These are two boys she adopted and decided to raise them as little girls. Here's the plan they have. This is what they want. This is the future of black representation. Male. Charlize Theron. That's her name. Charlize Theron. Charlize Theron is her name. So, folks, no, this ain't Little Nas. This is the future. This is the future representation they want for black males. This is the image. Here's a question, though. Where is the outrage here? I'm going to show you something about our people. I'm going to show you something about our people, and we need to fix this. They can parade, they can turn our young, strong men, Judites, into girls right in front of us with no outrage. But we're supposed to be outraged when they tell us to attack one of our own who may or may have not done wrong, like Bill Cosby or R. Kelly. Not that I've excused either of those two. But what if R. Kelly, folks, and Bill Cosby did this? What if they, because, of course she's raising them in a loving, caring, rich home to one day be what? Yeah. To be nice wives for their husbands. See? Now, suppose R. Kelly or Bill Cosby would have been outright walking down Hollywood Boulevard with 2 little boys that now are deemed little girls being raised. Folks, this is happening without any outrage. To let you know, the Satanists have accomplished their agendas. Now, I'm going to show you the hypocrisy. Here's some more hypocrisy. And by the way, folks, white women are minorities too. By the way. So you're looking at 3 minorities here. And the 2 children are double minorities. To show you some of that reprobate sickness that the world have come to accept. White women are minorities, folks. Okay? Now, some more hypocrisy on another note, but they all are running in with each other. Real quick, before I turn it over to you, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. If I can mention this one quick thing, the mockery behind that image, the actual article associated with that image is Charlize Theron has a village of strong black women to help her raise her daughters.
Read that again. Now she pulled the sisters into that. Elder Lawyer, can you send me that link? Send me that so I can put it on the screen, please.
Yes, sir.
So now Charlize Theron has made sisters, black sisters, and accomplices in her satanic sacrifice to Moloch. Let me grab that real quick, Elder Lawyer. Hold on. I appreciate it. 1 second. Let me get it. Here it is. This is insane. Oh Lord, I'm glad you found this article, because they probably would have thought that I was making this up. You can't make this up. Hold on, folks. You cannot make this up. Here's the article, folks. Thank you, Elder Lawyer. Here is the article in front of us. I'm gonna put you back on the screen here. Here's the article, folks. BCK. Charlize Theron has a village of strong black women to help her raise her daughters. I am so grateful. Charlize Theron is grateful for the strong black women in her life who help make up the village she relies on when raising her daughters, Jackson and August. Name them 2 boys, Jackson and August. The Addams Family 2-star recently shared the importance of asking to help rearing her girls. Look at these Hollywood freaks. Look, there she go right there. She got the help of the black women raising these guys, these who they call girls now, were born biological males, folks. Look. Oh.
Have members with your organization spoken with those on the ground in South Africa who are hesitant to get those vaccines because of misinformation that they've heard?
Okay, I want to talk about that. So now they want to push something else, huh? Because it always leans. There they go. Happy birthday. Black women. She says she has a village of black women that are going to help her raise her girls. Go ahead, Elder Lawyer. Anything else on that?
No, that's it. Just pointing out the hypocrisy of it. I mean, not the hypocrisy, the hypocrisy, but the mockery of it, and to pull black women into it. And for there not to be any outrage against this from, not that I've seen. from black women.
Where is the public outrage? Don't tell me that I marched for George Floyd. I don't want to hear that. I'm standing for my black kings. When we allow this woman right here to mock black masculinity, these are our sons. Now, there's another thing I wanted to pull out, and then we'll open it up real quick to show you some more hypocrisy going on in the world right now, Elder Lawyer.
Sure.
Real quick, before we go there, Netflix fires who they call a trans activist for allegedly leaking internal documents. The worker has encouraged trans employees to protest the company's release of the Dave Chappelle show, in which he made anti-trans jokes. Now, this is what they're not telling you, folks, to show you how a lot of these movements is to hide those who are attacking us behind the veil, which is their quote unquote sexuality. They would make you believe that this is a trans man. No, this is a pregnant black woman. A pregnant black woman who worked for Netflix. Folks, a pregnant black woman was trying to get what? Was trying to join others to get Dave Chappelle's special canceled. But no, the corporate controllers of Netflix fired this sister because her being vindictive, because they didn't want to what? Cancel him. She started leaking private financial information between Dave Chappelle and Netflix. And they fired her for that. And to hide her identity, they're telling you, oh no, it's a trans man. No, this is a pregnant black woman. Who, now I would have expected a white person or someone, if they were of the gay persuasion, to be white, to show their face to go against a strong black man who stayed in his opinion, who's standing up and pushing back against these agendas that are destroying our families. But no, a pregnant sister felt empowered to the degree that she can try to get Netflix to cancel a black man. This is how far this thing has become, folks. She's going to do all this on Netflix to cancel Dave Chappelle, who's only telling the truth that a black man can actually be incentivized and celebrated for killing a black man. But that same black man is canceled if he hurt the feelings of a gay person with words. What's wrong with that picture? Now, she got herself fired trying to go against a black man, right? But, like I said earlier, Elder Lawyer, but there was no outrage here. If she got the power to try to get a black man fired from a powerhouse called Netflix, in that position where she can actually go and knock on the big wig doors, you couldn't go to Netflix and say, yo, what's going on with this white woman who's trying to turn little black boys into black girls? See, this is the vindictive spirit, folks. At the end of the day, it's exactly what Albert Pike was planning. The destruction of the nuclear family, and to attack anything that would actually do what? Establish a moral line between God and those who would follow Satan. Last story, Elder Lawyer, before we open it up. I'm going to ask anyone out there. Does anyone out there know this woman? You have no idea who she is. Her name is Allison Williams. Allison Williams. Now, I know a lot of you asking, Elder Ricard Shiar, why should we know exactly who she is? Why? Well, I believe based on the agendas that are being pushed right now, everyone should know who she is. Mainstream news, CBS, did a report on her without her picture. And you notice they don't have her picture anywhere. They just have her name. ESPN reporter Allison Williams leaving network over the vaccine mandate. ESPN reporter Allison Williams, but there's no picture here. So when you don't see a picture there, know right off the bat, it's not talking about a black person. Now, if Allison Williams was black, you probably would see a picture. Yet I digress. Here's my issue, Elder Lawyer. Here she is right now, a white woman who was able to bow out because she don't know enough about the stuff to take it, and she left ESPN because of it. I would expect Stephen A. Smith and others who work at ESPN to have the same outrage against Allison Williamson that they have against Kyrie Irving. You talking about Kyrie Irving isn't being a team player. Hey, she's a part of who? Stephen A. Smith's team. So why aren't you calling out your team and the people that aren't playing right concerning this mandate, Stephen A? You calling out Kyrie for not being a team player. You got a white woman who's a part of your team at ESPN that you haven't said anything about and try to make an example of, but yet we cannot hear Kyrie's name spoken out there without any vitriol, negative. And I know you're wondering why I'm bringing both of these together, because it's the same tactics are used for either side. Any agendas are produced against the same people. Every agenda at the end of the day is against us. They don't want no male figures, no strong male figures, and they especially don't want any black, strong men. Who's going to stand against the injustices that are done against our people. So I just wanted to point this out so that, because I know others are going to take this up. Okay. Cardi B, when she put something out there, and not Cardi B, excuse me, Nicki Minaj, when she started asking questions, she was dragged through the mud. But how can this white woman by the name of Allison Williams bow out with no fanfare, with no one degrading her, with no one making it hard for her to get another job someplace else? How can this white woman say that she's going to leave a network and she's going to pop up somewhere else? That's why they're not showing her picture, folks. She will resurface unscathed. ESPN reporter Allison Williams leaving network over the mandate. And you notice they didn't have her picture. Why? Because they say, listen, we're going to keep this quiet. Don't worry about it. We'll just have you pop up someplace else. Because right now, guess what? You're not the target. Stephen A., where's your outrage? Allison Williams isn't being a good team player. Here she go right here, folks. So, why am I putting this all out there before I turn it over to you, Elder, and open up the lines? There's so much confusion out there. We don't know what side to take. We don't understand how to aim proper outrage or where to begin to fight in which on a level in which we'll make a difference. And this is why, Elder Lawyer, I took everyone back to the Bible. This is why I started with the Bible. So that now we'll have a platform to begin to push back with. To say, well, no, I will not be politically swayed through my emotions on any topic without understanding the morality of those who are influencing the public. I first need to know where their moral standards are before I'm moved by anything they're saying. See what I'm saying, Elder Lawyer?
Yes, sir.
That's the start. This is where you can start to make a difference. Our topic today, you see it. So a lot of people don't know, where can we start? Well, that's easy. Start with a moral code according to the Bible and set that standard. When it comes to our children, know who we're trusting to spend long hours who we're trusting for our children to spend long hours around. That's where we start. Set a line, a moral code. You don't have to offend someone by saying, well, listen, I can't do business with you because why? I don't agree with your lifestyle. They'll be quick to tell us, they're quick to tell Dave Chappelle, listen, because I don't agree with your opinion, I want to cancel you. So now we have to stand down and say, well, you know what? Okay. I'm going to start basing who I do business with and who's around my circle based on the moral code or lack thereof attached to that particular individual. And then I will tell a person straight out, right? I don't care where I am. If I'm out at a restaurant, I'm not going to disrespect someone. But if a guy come to my table operating in the wrong, in the wrong spirit, I'm gonna be like, well, it's cool. I'll just go to I'll look around and I'll gauge the room, Elder Lawyer, for a heterosexual type of zone. I'll look around and I'll scan the room and see if there's any straight things operating that's serving at a restaurant. I'll go to the host and say, yo, I need to be in that section over there. Well, you don't like the table? Oh, no, it's cool. The air is fine. I'm checking out the air conditioner over that spot over there. The heat high is flowing over there. I want to slide over to the hetero type zones. Okay. We have to start taking a close look at who is teaching our children. What are their ideologies? And folks, brothers, sisters in particular, and brothers, sisters in particular, because you're over the households. A lot of these households. You have to take your children from under the influence of anyone who has liberal thinking. Liberal thinking. That means if they think like a Democrat. And I'm going to say that in specific. I'm not saying whether or not they think like a Republican. Republican out of the way. If they think like a Democrat, you must watch them. Because if you want to know what Democrats do, look at our communities where we've been voting Democrat for decades now. That's what they do. Anyone that these free spirits, live and let live, do drugs and it's okay. What you do with your body is okay. The free sex spirit. You can be any spiritual you want. It doesn't matter about the family. Live and let live. That's all liberal thinking, and it's satanic. And then we have to make a stand starting with these holidays and do what? Cancel Halloween. Cancel Halloween, which is really the holiday holiday of Satan that allowed people to begin to cross-dress and do what they wanted to do and be accepted. Elder Lawyer, I'm gonna pass it over to you, and I'm ready to open up the lines in a minute.
Yes, sir. First and foremost, I want to say shalom to the family, and in going through some of the information and the articles that you presented, you brought up the controversy at Netflix concerning someone who was a African American, I'm assuming, who identifies as trans.
Yeah.
And because they identify as trans, they felt that the comedy special presented by Mr. Dave Chappelle, brilliant, I might state, and I want to kind of build my speaking point or talking point off of that. There's many things he said that were profound, but there's one thing in particular that I want to highlight.
Yeah.
Okay. But just dealing with the person who decided that they wanted to try to organize a walkout or a protest at Netflix. Some of the initial reports made it seem as if Netflix simply fired this person because they were speaking up for their community, which, again, this African-American person identifies their community not as African-American or Black. Again, and listen, we understand those terms don't necessarily identify us as our true heritage, but nonetheless, these are the terms and the labels that our people fall under, that they identify with. So to make the point, this person was an African-American who could be considered an oppressed class under African-American, puts their sexuality before their race. They identify more so with trans than they do with their race. That's not the point. The point is that initially, they try to make it seem as if this person was simply sticking up for themselves and sticking up for their community. And because of that, they were disciplined. They were fired. When in reality, and I believe that in this particular article, they highlighted that this was over them releasing information to the public that was not supposed to be released.
She released information. She's a pregnant Black woman who identifies as a trans man. But go on. She's a pregnant Black woman who's now, she don't even have a job for her baby to be able to take care of her baby on this, going hard in the paint for these other people who can care less about her. But go on.
Exactly. Now, hard in the paint, huh? So to make the point I wanted to make, and again, the Chappelle special, whatever you think about Mr. Dave Chappelle as a comedian, whatever you think about him as a person or what have you, you have to admit, even the harshest critics have to admit that a lot of the points that were brought up, a lot of the talking points were thought-provoking in the sense that even if you necessarily don't agree with his delivery, what he says or what have you, the points that were brought up were thought-provoking to the point where you have to start, a conversation has started. And, even people who may have been tilted to one side of the argument, towards the LGBTQ side of the argument, have to ask themselves some very serious questions. And one of the things he mentioned during the special that I thought was very profound is, can a gay person be racist? And that's a profound question. Because if the answer is yes, if a person who claims they want equality, if a person says that they want freedom from bigotry, freedom from prejudice, if that person themselves can exhibit prejudice, if that person themselves can exhibit being partial, then it kind of equals the playing field, so to speak. It makes it to where those who are taking the high ground or have attempted to take the high ground is saying that because they want equality for their sexual preference, they want justice for their sexual preference, they want non-partiality for their sexual preference. If we can say that you can exhibit partiality, then now it takes away your stance, or it takes away your high ground from being able to state that you now have some level of moral high ground or moral standard when it comes to exhibiting non-partiality, non-prejudice. So here's the question. If the answer is yes, that a gay person can be gay, but also can be racist, the question is, what are some of the other crimes that a gay person can be guilty of? And to answer that, I'm going to use the Bible to set the precedent. Okay. I'm going to use this to set the precedent. Starting off in Genesis 6 and 5. And we're going to ask ourselves, as we read these scriptures, we're going to ask, when God makes these statements in the Bible, when the Word of God makes these statements, are these statements directed towards only heterosexuals, or is it speaking to mankind as a whole? And if so, can homosexuals also be included, or those who identify as LGBTQ, can they also be identified as the audience in these scriptures? Genesis 6 and 5. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of their heart was only evil continually. So, question, is God only speaking to heterosexuals? Or can those who identify as homosexual, trans, non-binary, can they also be included in this statement? Can they also be the men, or whatever you identify as? Can you also be identified as one whose imagination is evil from your youth, and your heart is full of evil continually? Can you be included in that conversation? Genesis 8 and 21. I will not again curse the ground anymore for man's sake, for the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth. Does this only apply to heterosexuals? Do only heterosexuals have evil imaginations against God from their youth? Or can those who identify as LGBTQ, can they also have evil imaginations against God from their youth? Continuing, Psalms 14, 2-3. The Lord looked down from heaven upon the children of men to see if there were any that did understand and seek God. They are all gone aside. They are all become filthy. There is none that doeth good, no, not one. Question, did God only look down upon the heterosexuals? Or is he also looking upon LGBTQ and saying, I'm looking for any that seek God and I found none? When God says that they've all gone against God, is he only speaking of heterosexuals? Or can we include LGBTQ? If heterosexuals, it says, I'm going to read it again, they are altogether become filthy. If heterosexuals can be called filthy by God, can those who identify as homosexual also be considered filthy by God? They say they want equality. They say they want the playing field to be equal, non-partiality. Well, according to the Word of God, we're making this partial according to the Word of God and showing you that, hey, if it can be applied to the heterosexual, who else can it be applied to? Can it be applied to the homosexual? Can it be applied to LGBTQ or anyone who identifies under those labels? Continuing, behold, I was shapen in iniquity, and in sin did my mother conceive me. Can homosexuals live sinful lives as a result of being shaped in iniquity? Ecclesiastes 9 and 3. The heart of the sons of men is full of evil, and madness is in their hearts while they live. Is this only applied to heterosexuals? Do only heterosexuals live their life in madness and in evil all their life and eventually die? Or can this also be applied to LGBTQ? Last scripture, Matthew 15-17, closing out with Christ. Do ye not yet understand that whatsoever entereth in at the mouth goeth into the belly and is cast into the draught? But those things which proceed out from the heart, or out of the mouth, from the heart, they defile a man. And let's listen to these things. For out of the heart proceed evil thoughts. And we're asking ourselves the question, are heterosexuals only guilty of these things, of these, we can say crimes or sins, or can we include LGBTQ as well? regardless of where you fall under those letters, right? Listen to the crimes against God and humanity. For out of the heart proceedeth evil thoughts, murders, adulteries, fornications, thefts, false witness, and blasphemies. Question. If God is speaking, or if Christ is speaking about mankind in general, is it possible that a person who identifies as LGBTQ, is it possible for them to exhibit evil thoughts? Is it possible for them to commit murder? Is it possible for them to commit adultery? Is it possible for them to commit fornication, including things such as molestation? We have to ask ourselves, the people who are committing molestation, is it only heterosexuals or those who identify as LGBTQ? I'm trying to be careful with my words. Those who identify under LGBTQ, can they also be guilty and have been guilty of committing fornication or acts of fornication, such as molestation? Is that possible? Is it possible for someone who identifies as LGBTQ to steal, to be a thief? Is it possible for someone to identify as LGBTQ to be a liar, to have ulterior motives, to not be altruistic in their agenda? Is it possible for someone who identifies as LGBTQ to commit blasphemy? And if the answer is yes, am I homophobic? Am I transphobic? Am I anti-gay? For pointing out when someone who identifies as LGBTQ, when you find them committing these crimes or these acts against God or against their fellow man, by pointing these things out, am I transphobic, homophobic, anti-gay, anti-lesbian, anti-LGBTQ when I find you guilty of these things or catch you doing these things and I point it out? Can you say that I'm being somewhat of a bigot or prejudiced against you if I find you committing a crime or committing an act that is against God or your fellow man, call you out on it? Can I now be considered anti-LGBTQ? Okay? And the reality is that by giving a preferential treatment, this is my last point, by giving preferential treatment to a particular group of people, it can be any group, but in this case, we're talking about a group who identifies specifically with, sexual preference, sexual orientation. I know they don't like that label, but that's just what it is. Okay? By giving a group of people uninhibited preferential treatment, you allow them to commit crimes against God and against their fellow man and always have an excuse when they're called out on it. Always have an out when they're called out on it. And that's my point. With that, I conclude.
See, and I'm glad you brought that out. You understand, because put it this way. And I'm gonna go back to my original premise, Elder Lawyer. I believe that anyone, regardless of what you do in the privacy of your bedroom, should be protected under the law for someone who's committing a crime against them. Right?
Thanks.
But here's where special protection becomes dangerous. When someone know they have special protection and is using that as a shield to harm others, so that now when there's recourse for their actions, they can claim, well, no, you are attacking me because I'm gay. No, I'm attacking you because you, as a person who I didn't know was gay until you said it, attacked me.
Right.
And that's what it is. They're using these protections to harm, to hit and hide their hands. And now when people are coming back at them, they can now, under these political protections, cry foul. What I'm saying was no. We have to set a precedent then, because that means you have what? You have a double standard. You have something else when you come in the presence of us. Political protection. And what happens when you give someone that type of power and they know there's no consequences for their actions? I'm going to show you what happens. Look at your screen. father is suing. A lot of some of this was brought out in the academy, but I had to bring this one out. Y'all need to get in that academy, folks. But anyway, father is suing woke London County after his 15-year-old daughter was DPAR. I'm going to say it backwards because you know these algorithms here. DPAR in gender fluid girl's bathroom by a skirt wearing male student, only for cops to arrest him after he complained at a school board meeting. So under these laws now, a young boy can put on a skirt and go into a gender fluid bathroom, whatever that is, where a girl he been thinking about and sexually assault this girl. The father was arrested and the young boy was transferred to another school. This is what happens under these rules, folks. The predators actually receive what? Immunity while attacking society. This is what happens. So it's time, Elder Lloyd. So now what is time for? You know what it's time for? It's time for a conversation.
Sir.
It's time for a conversation. If you can't act right amongst the traditional system that got us to where we are now, it's time for us to say, you know what? We're going to have our regular male and female bathrooms going forward. And if you want to have something different, guess what? We're not going to change 95% of the population's rules and traditions for the vast minority of people who have a certain sexual preference. You get your own gender fluid bathrooms the way you used to have them and allow us to do what? Keep our values. Have bathrooms for you. If that's what you like and every man and woman all can go in there, guess no one's stopping you because you're only a small segment of the population. But it's time for lines to be clearly drawn. And where parents have to stand up and say, if you got gender fluid bathrooms where my children aren't safe, I'm taking them out of this school. I'm taking them out of this school. Because we're not going to change everything for 5% of the population and a segment of that 5% have an axe to grind against us all. These people, no people should have political protection under what? Under a country that already have laws for those who commit crimes. And if anyone knows that there's laws for those who commit crimes, it's us, black people. So there's laws on the books that will protect gay people if they're getting abused. But they're giving them extra protection. Why? Why? Because they're looking to destroy the family. The family is what? The family is the only weapon left against this evil. The nuclear family. We don't need them as counselors. We don't need them as preachers. We don't need them as guides. We don't need them as anything. Y'all do that amongst y'all people. We have to set a moral standard and say, you cannot counsel me for nothing. You cannot teach me nothing. Okay? It's time for us to take a moral stand or lose our children altogether. The insane is running the asylum. And the only way to get this right is for us to come back on this moral code, set a standard for our own homes, and guess what? Set that standard for anyone who's blessed to be amongst our family or our circle, including your children. It's time for the narrative to switch because why? You think they didn't know this was going to happen? You know how many pranks and stuff that we played in school growing up? They know kids 15, 16 years old. Your testosterone is going. You're like, all I got to do is put on a dress to get in here into the girls' locker room. It's time for us, folks, to set a precedent, because why? I'm going to tell you right now, folks, they're not letting up. They're not letting up. And you can only push people back so far until we realize, guess what? This wasn't about, how can you complain that, how can you get all these rights claiming you were abused and become the abuser and become the attacker? There's no one who have given these people clearance to operate more so like our sisters now. I mean, more so like our sisters who have never judged them. And now they're on these rumor programs and all these other programs, these all over the place, just talking down on sisters, attacking sisters on these radio programs. Oh, her nails, she need to get her hair done. She was ashy. I'm like, who give them the upper moral ground to speak down on sisters, some of the only few people who've supported you? Now they've gotten so much protection now, they can now attack the sisters who was really in their corner the whole time. So it's time for sisters to pull back too and say, you know what? Nah, we're not supporting this no more. Because at the end of the day, it's the black man, the black heterosexual man, and the black heterosexual woman, if you want to call it that, the people God intended from the beginning, who's at the back of the line. Elder Lawyer, anything else before we pull in the calls here?
No, sir. Let's go to the calls.
Okay, and let's talk about it. What are we talking about? The vindictive spirit of Sodom. It's time for the righteous. We must now gain control against the victim narrative. We must gain control over the narrative no more. Okay? Why is it that when a black man dies, just a black man died? It had nothing to do with what his sexual preference was. But if a gay man dies or get killed, still black, he must be highlighted because it must have been a crime against his sexual preference. Something is seriously wrong when thousands of black men get killed every year. Crimes go unsolved in America when it comes to black men, and none of us should be harmed. But yet you're going to highlight black the gay life, the gay people who get killed that are black, and only 28 of them died. Not to say any number is good, but compare 28 black people who's dealing with that lifestyle compared to the thousands in America, and none of those stories are ever make headlines. What's wrong with that? That would have us believe that there's some epidemic of people stalking and taking down people who's in that community. It's time for us to say no more. I don't think anyone should bully or come against a person regardless of what their sexual persuasions are. I don't think anyone should get special attention or special protections politically, because usually they abuse that protection.
Mm-hmm.
Let's open up the lines of the lawyer, and I'm going to bring you right in.
Yes, sir.
My brother. I don't know if Elder Gabar, because I know he was up last night, so it's up to him if he would like to come in. Hold on.
Blog Talk Radio. Welcome to Blog Talk Radio. Please hold and you will be able to listen to the show.
Okay.
Unmuted.
Okay, I'm live on Blog Talk. It's time for us to take control. I mean, we've been losing ground for how many years without saying anything? And guess what? And no one is talking about coming against anyone. But it seems like these rules that are on the books are now being targeted at our children. And now I find out that they're looking to actually lower the age of consent so these grown people can get access to more children without what? Without being charged with molestation. It's time for us to say something about this. Let's open up the calls. Let's see here. 515-605-9327. Natasha is waiting on the line. 941 area code. You there, the lawyer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. I got you on. Anytime you like to say something. All right, Natasha, you're live.
How you doing, Elder? How you doing, Elder Lawyer? You hit it on the nail. It's very prevalent in the schools. You know, again, being that I work in the school or whatnot, and they are hired. It's hired everywhere. The counselors, teachers, principals. It's like it's very well protected. You know, and it's around the kids. And again, like I said, you know, for starting with, you know, around elementary, and it's gotten so freely, you know, that it's just, like I said, it's everywhere. You know, the counselors, and then, you know, you can't say anything. You can't say anything about it, because if you do, you know, that's being raped. You know, it's being racist, or, you know, you feel a certain way about someone, you know, how should I say? What is the word I'm looking for? I'm so sorry. You being biased, like you know, well, what's wrong with them or whatnot. And it's being taught, and it's being taught in schools, you know, when you have your kids and they go to the counselors or whatnot, you know, it's there. You know, it's okay for them to, you know.
Well, let me ask you, because what you're saying is apparent. It is there. My question is, because it's not going anywhere. It's only going to get worse. My question is, knowing that, do you have children in those schools?
I have children in the schools. I have one in high school and two in middle school.
Okay.
And good thing that.
But knowing that, what are you doing to shield your children from that ideology if it's everywhere? What are you doing? Because eventually, let me tell you, and I know the influence a teacher can have on a student.
Yes. I
mean, a lot of teachers I grew up with shaped my direction in the absence of my parents. Yeah. When they sing certain talents, they say, "Yo, why don't you join theater? Why don't you go into the art club? Why don't you? What do you think about this?" So it was outside my parents, when it was really the community were all churchgoers. So there was really not like it is now, where you got Satanists and all types of perversions and all that in our inner city schools. Yeah. And so what I'm saying is, we need to do something, because that in of itself is a disadvantage. Because when you go into the suburbs and other schools outside of our community, it's so different. They don't allow So when I'm asking but when I'm asking you, knowing that they may push these progressive ideas on your children against your moral code, what are you doing to move your children out of harm's way, so that they're not affected? Affected by these people. I
have one, you know, me and my family, we pray every morning before they go to school, and I've had conversations with them. I keep conversations with them about that. You know, that they know that it's wrong. I've actually changed schools a couple of times. You know, if it was something that I didn't like. You know, I've changed schools before. You know, I took them out public and put them in, you know, something a little more smaller or whatnot. But even the smaller ones are getting out of hand now. Let me show you.
Let me give you an example and tell me if this is something along the lines you've done. Right? They tried to teach sex education in our schools during the time. At one time, they first it was hygiene. And they wanted to bring in, I don't know what hygiene class. We're talking about, we learned to wash up at home. What are you talking about? But it was called hygiene. Then they wanted to go into sex education, where, you know, one of my peoples came up to the school and say, well, nah, I don't want him learning that. Okay. So what I'm saying is we must find out what the curriculums are that's being given to our children. Pick and choose, and then go to the administrator and let them know the things which compromises you being able to raise your son and daughter traditionally. You have to look at their roster. Listen what I'm saying. You have to look at this and say, nah, I'm going to school with you, and I'm putting on record from the principal on down what will not be taught to my children. On record. Alternative lifestyles is against my core belief religiously. I don't want my child to hear nothing about some. Have you done that?
They tried it with my They tried it with my high schooler. They tried to teach sex ed, and I was against it. And the teacher, it was so funny because the teacher called me, and he was like, "Well, he can't get a grade for it because we really need it." And I said, "Well, what's the reason why he needs it? What's the whole point of him needing it? I don't want him doing it." He was like, "Well, yeah, he needs the grade," and it was just it was a whole bunch of mess. And and this was during the pandemic, at the time when they was homeschooling or whatnot. And I was like, what was the point of them having this education? He can get it from me. I can have a talk with my child about this. So they tried to push it. They tried to.
Exactly.
And the thing is, as parents, and believe it or not, I can honestly say that I'm always constantly, fighting, just to try to make sure if your kids is all right in school. One day my son came home and he was like, "Mom, I'm not kind of feeling comfortable in school because I have something, kind of sitting by me." And I'm like, "Well, are they saying anything to you? Are they, and I really felt, I felt what he was saying or whatnot. I was like, well, just ask the teacher, can you, be put somewhere else? Can you play somewhere else?" And like I said, the teachers that come into the, coming in right now or whatnot, I mean, is prevalent. It's everywhere.
Listen,
you can't, if you come to them and say something about it, they kind of look at you wrong or whatnot.
It doesn't matter.
It's heavily protected.
See, but sister, this is what we have to do because, of course, sisters are more agreeable, and by nature, that's the way sisters are. The reality is, when I come into a set, I'm coming in with full authority. I'm coming in with the authority that what? Your salary is being paid through tax dollar money. I'm not coming in there to offend you either. I'm like, no. Now, I'm not fighting some evil indoctrination in my home that's changing how I've raised my home. It's not going to happen. And I'm not paying you to do that. So I go to them and say, listen, no sex education. I don't care about the grade. That doesn't translate anywhere. That's not translating into the world. Because any education, education, it's indoctrination. When they start teaching about sex, they're giving children ideas on how to have sex. That's what it is. They weren't even thinking about it until they got that class. They started teaching about suicide prevention. And what happened? Suicides went up because children at one point didn't know suicide was an option until the class.
Right.
So they come from a victim stance, but it's really planting seeds and choices in your child's mind. Are you depressed? One day, my son, matter of fact, I'm going to push you on the whole. I can tell you online. One day, my son was in school, and a teacher asked him, because they know I'm straight masculine. I'm coming in in defense of my son, especially when I know what's going on and some of that mess up in there that I already told him. I don't do any holy days. I call it holy days. They said holidays. I'm like, no, these are holy days. Don't try to put an I in it. These are Satan's holy days. No holy days for my son. Holidays, yeah. I is synonymous with Y. No holy days. No Christmas. No, none of that. No Easter egg hunts. None of that. But I say it I'm like, it's against the traditions of my forefathers religiously. And I make it clear. No pork, no this, no that. Okay. And I tell my son I can compensate in other areas. So because I'm setting rules when it comes to my son not getting indoctrinated, a teacher began to ask my son questions. Oh yeah, your father, does he hit you with his hand or with a belt?
Wow.
So implying that I hit my, this is the question they ask. Right? So some dude come to my door because I guess my son said, well, whenever he spanked me, usually he used his hand. But because he said that with a trick question, it let because this is how they ask the question. So to get back at you, they try to use DHS. So DHS, you know, I was living on the 3rd floor down in West Philly at the time. And DHS knocks on I had like a flat, like a condo type flat, right? Knocks on my door. And, you know, it was a guy at the door. It looked like he had a whole thing of blue magic grease up on his lips. Lip shine and whatever. Excuse me. And, you know, and then, you know, I'm looking down at the door. He's looking at me talking about, excuse me, are you? I'm like, can you get your feet from out of my door? I'm just saying, I'm here. I'm like, listen, dude, you're going to back up off. I'm from I don't care where you're from. You're going to back up off my door, sir. I'm a holy man, but I'll pray over you afterward. You understand me? But like he had a whole thing of blue magic with glitter on up on his lips trying to tell me what I'm like, listen. He says, but do you abuse? I'm like, listen, dude, back off. Okay, whatever you have, leave in my mailbox. Never seen him again. Of course, they had some stuff, but I don't deal with that crap. Because this is what they do. They get you in school. If you don't agree with the indoctrination, and then what happens? They try to get DHS or some type of home thing to come into your home. They try to get you sideways that way. So one day I went to the principal. You know, she was pretty hard, sitting there hard. Had the vibe going on. You know, the strong, Mayweather type tip happening. And she was like, well, it seemed like every time we look in, Mr. Shepherd, there's an issue there. I'm like, listen, I have rules in my house. Y'all have y'all rules. As long as y'all don't violate my rules and have my son come in messed up head and all that, whatever y'all do here is y'all business. And then she says, I think it'd be a good idea if you homeschool. What do you think? I'm like, great idea. He says, here's Agora homeschool. It's great. She had the paperwork waiting for me and everything. She had she had the paperwork waiting. She looked up the homeschool for me. There was computers coming to my house, microscopes, another computer. I was working at home and he was right beside me. Because they realized I was going to be there every time they bring some crap. And they send my son home with some crap that I would have to now chastise him for, because that's what's going on. They're turning our children against us. Yeah, they turn our children against us. Yeah. So, hey. Yeah.
And I had to let her know. She went to ask my twins, questions, and I had to let her know my house is not broken. My children are not broken.
Yeah.
You know, and I had to back. She backed off. And I let her know that any conversations that she have, you call me. Feel free to talk to me and call me about anything you want to know. So that pretty much lifts everything up. But you're right, Urban. You all right. You all right.
Oh yeah, I think I triggered something in people when I said that blue magic. You know, when lotion was missing. Yeah. When you had no lotion, boy, that blue magic. You sitting there working at that thing happening, all on the calves and everything. Go on, let's get the next one. 228 area code. I know lawyer cracking up. 228 area code. Let's get the next one.
Shalom, Elder Shalom. This is son of Judah, Brother Hayes, Brother Kenneth Hayes.
Hey, how you doing? Hey, let me ask you, man. Have you been in that academy or what? Because we bringing it.
You know it. Okay. I've been in the first academy. I was in half of one academy. Wanted to get back in, but taking care of bills and trying to do what I got to do to prepare for the wilderness. But I will, however, Elder, be in the next academy, and I know it's gonna be off the chain. Oh man, wait till you see what I got coming. But go on, talk to me. Yeah, now Elder, I got a question. Wow. Okay, you know how you was talking about how our brothers be dying in the streets and we see them all the time, right? But they paint this negative picture, a portrait of our brothers to make us go against our own people. But then when they show somebody else, whether it be of another sex, whatever their orientation is, or another race, if they have that, that number or letter over them or whatever, they make it to where they're like a victim. Well, my question is it propaganda? Could it be propaganda that when we see our brothers die innocently and they make them out to be bad, but then it be somebody else dying, and as long as they're got a letter on them, they make them like out to be a victim, so we would feel, some type of way, some type of sorry for them, and maybe that could be planting seeds in us to like, you start to accept it, you start to be like, oh, and that person, you know what kind of question I'm trying to ask, right?
Yeah.
That you start to feel sorry. Yeah. And you start to accept,
See, but
we know that's wrong.
Listen. First of all, no one is a monolith, right? Which means I don't feel a certain type of way about something that I had nothing to do with. I didn't do nothing to you. So I'm not going to get all pressed upon that. I'm going to deal with, and this is what propaganda does, brother. And this is how you look. This is how you look at the news going forward. Any protected group where they'll make special laws to protect, the media is actually letting you know outright the exact group that they're using to attack you. That's a telltale sign for those who are on the side. That victim thing isn't because they care about these people and their plights in particular. Understand, everything on the media is politicized. So if they're having it's like if they're putting a protective group there, they've already sat there and say, the way we're using this particular group, there will be pushback from society as a whole. So we're not going to move this agenda cannot be moved if we don't give them special political asylum or protection first, immunity, or the people going to push back and stop them. So every group
while using this.
Yeah, so I don't deal with I don't deal with no sob stories, all that playing the violin and the piano saying, Dad, I got something to tell you. Dad, I don't deal. I turn the music down because I don't want to hear it. Dad, I got something to tell you. I've been struggling for a long time, and George, who you thought was on the basketball team. Yes. I'm not going for none of that. And then the father start crying, saying, "Boy, son, I knew." I'm not dealing with none of that crap. I didn't do anything against you. Wow. I'm not dealing with the violin, the piano. I don't want to hear your coming out story. Because I'm not telling you when do heterosexual people or people who naturally got to say, I'm coming out as a person who like women?
Elder.
I'm not dealing with none of that mess.
Is that like their lesser magic?
Yeah. Really what they're doing, brother,
Elder.
When they put these groups out there like that, they're giving that group political protection, knowing the harm it's going to cause in society. There is no black people or people coming against Asians over Asian hate, over this hate or that hate. It's political protection of a group they're using to attack us. That's what it is. To
destroy our people, trying to get us to feel sympathetic for the very same people destroying us.
Exactly. So this is what I do. There's on the remote control, right? There's a speaker with a line in between it. It's the mute button. You know that mute button? Man, let me tell you, I use that thing on cue. When there's any commercials of pharmaceuticals, anything. And listen, and another thing. When it comes to Disney and all that stuff, we have to watch what our children are tuning into. And if we have to cancel those stations that are pushing those agendas on our children, you must get in front of it and cancel those stations.
Elder, I've already taken a step, Elder.
Great.
You know what I do? I stay in this word and stay into listening to my elders, stay into listening to y'all.
There you go.
Yep.
See, we were
Yes,
giving
indeed.
it. Let me tell you, we're going to give you the inside scoop on things, right? I'm not dealing with the violins
Yes,
or
indeed.
nothing. I don't deal with no cancer commercials. I don't deal with none of that stuff who programmed me to believe that I'm going to die of something. I don't deal with none of that stuff. I don't deal with them sitting there making me trying to feel sorry for a group that, listen, until y'all start sympathizing for Israelites as a whole that's suffering the curse of Deuteronomy 28 with some violins behind it, I don't want to hear it. Thank you, my brother.
Con.
All right.
Con. The water, Elder.
The water. All right, Mr. Hendricks. I'll see you there, Sunshine. I'll get you in a moment. All right, 702 area code. Mr. Hendricks.
Shalom, Elder. I'm just calling on a regards because basically you said some true facts that's basically going on with my situation. I'm a single dad of a 5-year-old daughter, and it's different when a man is raising a girl when she just came out the womb since birth.
Okay.
Make a long story short, she in 702 area code Clark County School, and I shared my thoughts with the principal and the so-called Clark County superintendent what I don't want my daughter engaging in.
Okay.
And what I comes to find out, it's not like I'm not disagreeing on nothing to what you said. That is very true. But what I come to find out in these public schools, they gonna teach your children what they gonna teach them regardless because it's part of the public so-called Gentile agenda. Even though I already gave them heads up, I don't want my daughter engaging in nothing that comes on the calendar. You know, the principal tells me she don't know what the teacher's teaching. I told her teacher ahead of time, but that let me know they're going to continue to teach these children whatever they want them to teach them. So what I'm going to do is, like, when it comes to, like, what we in the season now, Halloween, like, for example, she's not going to go to school on so-called Friday because I already know they're going to so-called celebrate the Halloween by it being on a weekend, have parties or whatever. Same thing for other holidays. Going back to make this long story short, I was hollering at the young man that so-called opened up the gate, and he was telling me the most people that staff in the school that she go to is females. So the females going to be quicker to agree to whatever's going on. We had this talk this morning, me and the brother. You know, he was telling me how him and the principal get into it. Because it's not a lot of male agendas. But you know who broke up our conversation and came and said some things that me and the brother wasn't talking about? A Gentile male bringing up some football. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Okay, well, I'm about to go to the next call, but let me say...
Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hendricks. I want to say this right out. And maybe this is how we were raised to think. So I thank the Most High for the opportunity to have traveled the whole earth and been amongst different environments that give me an outside perspective. Because something in our minds and our communities make us believe that we have to accept whatever someone is giving or telling us. No, we don't have to do that. I see in other communities where people are pushing back. And they say, no, it's our tax dollars that's funding you. Where they're going to certain meetings and finding out who's going to be the next administrator, who's going to replace who? The principal that the community is getting rid of. Okay? So this lack spirit to believe that they're going to do it anyway is why they continue to do it. If we come together and say, well, listen, you know that's tax money, right? And guess what? If y'all continue to send these freaks over here, guess what? You're not going to have a job politically. We're going to get you out of here. And other communities outside of our communities does exactly that. They set the standard for what's being taught in their communities. And when I don't care whether or not they're trying to bring the flag and everything else, I've seen communities say, well, listen, y'all can take that in the black neighborhoods. Y'all can take that someplace else. It's not going on here. And you know what? Because their tax money pays for it. That's right. That's right. The school complies. A lot of you don't realize principals in all those other areas, these are political positions. These are political positions. So it's because we sit back and say there's nothing, they're going to do it anyway. Nah. It's time to push back and say, well, listen, if you're going to do that anyway, we're stopping everything. You're not going to teach our children sex before we got an opportunity to do so. You're going to let them know, I know what your mommy and daddy is, but did you know that there's something like this over here outside of your mommy and daddy? No, it's not going to happen. So it's only our people. And I can understand, but it's the defeated spirit we have thinking that there's no options and they're going to do it anyway. Nah, you have to get singular focus like they are. They are singularly focused and they'll press upon until their agenda is accomplished. And we'll just sit back and not realize, you know what? You have that same power. And not only that, we outnumber them. Devonda.
Yes. Yes.
You're live.
Okay.
Greg, you're next, and then Sunshine.
Thank you for the lesson.
All praise be to the Most High.
Yes. I had a comment because, like, I have a fourth grader, and we just relocated from Greensboro to like Hickory, North Carolina, and so it's more suburban compared to Greensboro.
Okay.
And so we're originally from New York, and like it's a totally different atmosphere for my children. My daughter is the reason why I call is because I feel like she's been having more of a battle with her teacher because they call me and say, hey, she's not cooperating. She's not like going in line of what they deal with curriculum. And so when I ask my daughter, what's the problem, what's going on? She tells me like, hey, Ma, you know, I don't understand what is the things that they want me to understand. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, well, my teacher's a guy. And when I met the teacher, it's a feminized man. And so they want her to get more studies in with understanding that a man needs to be more gentle, or she needs to be able to understand the more feminized way of being open to, okay, it's not the way that things should be. But we just went through a whole pandemic where they were at home most of the time at school. So I was doing more of teaching them outside of school. And so I was putting in what I need to teach them as a mother, you know what I mean? And I'm like, as a mother, I'm saying, okay, well, you know, a man does this and a woman does that. And so now you're going back to school and you have these questions to where they're actually teaching you to compromise those things. And I know you need to be socially accepted with that, but it's not your fault that you don't understand what their curriculum is actually teaching you. You know what I mean? So I feel like
you got a lot. You got a lot, but I'm not getting detail. When it talks about your daughter saying that the teacher is trying to teach about a gentle man, let's focus there. A man is a man. What is this teacher trying to convey? What is the psychology? What is the better frame? What is the psychology behind what he's showing your daughter?
They have like this new thing that they're introducing in the school system where there's no, like you said, gender exact topic. And
okay, let's stop there.
That,
let's stop there, right? Where's her father?
We're not together, but he's definitely in her life.
Okay, what man do your daughter has as a representation for moments like that?
Her grandfather and my brother. But like I said, we moved out of town. So it used to be direct contact, but now it's distant.
Sister, I don't want to go through all that because right now we're focusing on the girl, right? So this is what I'm saying. Yes. Regardless of how it happens, there's certain circumstances women shouldn't be a part of.
Right.
So whatever you need to do, you got to find a man that stands in where a man can stand. Only a man can look at another man and instill the seriousness of a situation without actually threatening a person. A man can, because I've done it before. A man can look at another man and say, listen, how you doing? I respect your education. I respect where you're coming from. Listen, you're not going to teach my daughter anything about a gentleman. The only man she know about is the man that I'm teaching her about. Do we got an understanding here, sir?
Yeah. Yeah.
You're not going to psychologically abuse my daughter. You understand that? And see, I can talk to a man without saying anything, and I can look a man in the eye, and he'll understand where the line is. And like, listen, I'm gonna tell you this. I don't care what you do with these other kids, these other children around here. Understand that if she's understanding about any man outside of me, then you're gonna be looking for another job. Understand me? And you know, that's what's going to go down. I don't care about your gender fluidness. You got a fluid somewhere else. I'm going to tell you right now, this is how it goes down. So, sister, what I'm saying is only a man can actually instill that. Because why? A lot of these people, like Elder Lawyer read in Romans 1st chapter, even though they're dealing with whatever they're dealing with, they're still men. And men... Correct. Rarely budge. They rarely budge on stances when they're up against women. When it's a stance, you're a woman. You're still a woman. Yes. So what I'm saying is, just for the sake of her or any other child you might have, make sure you find man representation somewhere for moments like that. Okay?
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
And so what I was saying was, my daughter thing to me when I had a conversation with her, I'm like, what is it? Why your teachers acting like you're, the problem? What's going on? What are you doing that's not like following the rules? And in my own interpretation after having that conversation with my daughter was the fact that she's not used to a man moving and acting in a feminine position, because she's used to being around my brother and my father, who moves more differently than her male teacher now in this new environment. And so she's now defiant. Yeah.
Okay, so let's make it
clear. Because she's not becoming vulnerable to what he's trying to tell her, like, as a teacher, this is what you should be doing, regardless if I'm a male teacher or a female teacher. And I'm like, okay, that's where my daughter's crossing the lines at, because she knows that, even as a man.
Just real quick. She's clear of that now. She's clear of that now, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. But what I'm saying is, and I hope this is a lesson that other sisters can understand, that men, people in position, and this is why they replace women with a lot of jobs men used to have. This is why women are agreeable by nature. They're less confrontational. They usually try to frame how to say something without offending a person, or to come off or not to come off offensive. This is why the job force have replaced men with women. Don't you know there's a study that was out there in the corporate world that we used to deal with, that I found out later in the corporate world, that women, it takes women 3 to 4 months to ask for the same raise a man would. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Because everyone talks about the disparity in wages. Because women are more agreeable, and because women are hesitant not to offend, sometimes it's to a fault, to a degree that they'll wait to ask for a raise. What they'll do is they'll find out what's going on with everyone else working to see what their wages are. to get up the gumption to actually ask for what they deserve. And while they asking around, someone has already gotten a raise. Men.
Right.
The corporate world have replaced women because women by nature are less confrontational, and they have to think about how they're going to frame something, careful not to offend a person because they need to be nice, even at the expense of themselves. And it has nothing to do. That's how a woman should be.
Okay, but Elder, like with them defining my child as the problem, like not really just the problem, but just defiant. Like, how do I approach that direction? Because like I obviously know that she knows to follow instructions, right? But it's certain things that she don't really comprehend when I say perhaps his position. You know, do I just say, hey, just go ahead and just do what you need to do and get out of there, or you know, you do still have to have a ground growing in, you know?
This is what you have to do, right? Don't put any pressure on her at all. Don't put any pressure on her. Just let her know that the areas in which she don't understand something fully, or she, you know, or she's running into a roadblock, that you'll help her with that. But just focus on the areas she excels.
Okay.
And just congratulate her. Just congratulate her in the areas she excels. The places where she's struggling at, just say, don't worry about that. I'll help you with that. Therefore, she's not hitting the roadblock and feeling like a failure. You're only congratulating her on her successes and helping her in the places she's struggling. But if she if she's frustrated and she see you're frustrated, then that's going to be an issue there, because it's going to run into the areas where she is excelling. She's going to feel like she's failing in both areas. Focus on what she does best and say, don't worry about the stuff that you're struggling in. I'll help you with that. But really compensate by congratulating her on the things she does well. Got it?
Okay. And
there you go.
Yes,
you got it.
Absolutely.
All right.
Shalom.
Shalom. All right. All right, let's go down the line here. All right, we have Eunice. Shalom.
Okay. Shalom, Elder.
How are you doing?
I am doing okay. I am married, been married for 8 years, and we have 3 kids together. One is biologically his, but he has been a wonderful father to him. And I see as he goes, you know, when a young boy goes through puberty, you know, he needs a man, because there's certain things a man can teach him that I just can't. And I'm so grateful to have that, because a lot of people don't have a male figure. A male doesn't have a male figure to turn to when they're going through certain things, you know, hormones and such, you're raging, and you just need that man in your life. And I didn't have that growing up. I was raised by my grandmother. Okay. So I was not really taught about a lot of things that a woman goes through. My aunt helped me as much as they could, but my mother wasn't able to raise me. So I'm just grateful that I have a husband like that, so he can do things that I just can't.
Praise the Most High. There's one thing I got a few calls. I just want to just try to hone in on the topic, the vindictive spirit of Sodom. Like, she gave a perfect example how some of these grown people are causing serious psychological damage by pressing upon their own personal agendas sexually on children. Now, even heterosexual people can't do this without it being called abuse or something wrong. So how can another person be inside of school teaching their sexual preference and teaching you should be tolerant of what I do behind closed doors with another man or another woman? So I was making that as an example of like, we need to target these vindictive spirits and say, no, I need you to teach reading and writing. I don't care about your lifestyle. That's between you and whoever you're dealing with. You're crossing the line when it comes to education. But go on.
really, I feel like sex is something that a parent, it should be up to them when they sit down and talk to their children about that, not the school system.
Exactly. They out of pocket.
That's even an infringement on your privacy. But I don't want to hold you up because I know you have a whole lot of other callers. So thank you for even letting me comment.
Thank you, Eunice. And
Shalom.
Shalom. One thing she did bring out, which was important. One thing she did talk about is that there's balance because there's a man. There's a man in position. Hold on. Let's see. There's a man in position. So there's balance. Because I remember growing up, certain things happening in school. And that's when there was more male teachers. There was things my mother couldn't deal with in the schools. Because by nature, women are non-confrontational, usually. Okay? And so some things need to be confronted. Okay? Not threaten people, but some things have to be confronted head on like only a man can do. Like, no. Well, these are the rules. Listen, they're going to tell me what the rules are. No, that's your rules. I'm about to tell you my rules. Okay? Because there's an issue when your rules gets in the way of my rules. Do you understand that? All right, let me put you on hold. Hold on. I'm having an issue here. One moment. So and what happens that I see, and this doesn't usually happen in other neighborhoods. These so-called school administrations and those who work there, they try to look down on people in the community and think it's okay to be dismissive. And then you have to remind them, hey, you got the wrong one. Okay? I pay your taxes. Do you want this job? I will make getting rid of you the bane of my existence. And I'm talking about this job right here. Okay? If you don't do your job, understanding I'm a taxpayer, you don't know who's standing in front of you, but I will focus on getting you out of the way. I'll go to your boss and everybody else's boss until I get an outcome. Understand that what's not going to be allowed. Your rules is not going to infringe on my rules when it comes to who I raise in my home. Okay? Understand that. 918 area code. And I'll be nice about it. 918 area code. Alois. A Joyce or Alois. And Quam, I see you waiting. I'm going to bring you in, Quam. Alois or a Joyce? I don't know. Is it Alois?
Okay.
Alois?
Yes, it's Alois.
How are you doing, Alois? The floor is yours.
Shalom, I'm fine. How you doing?
I'm blessed by the best.
And his name is Hyde. I was just wanting to comment on the victim mentality, or like they're playing the victim, as far as alphabet people do. I was just going to say that, like that went on in my household with my youngest brother a lot. So I don't even know if it's just straight propaganda or like the other guy was talking about. He was saying, is it part of their lesser magic? Like, that's just that spirit, period.
When you said your brother, the victim scenario with your brother, what do you mean by that? Context, details.
Okay. So if he does something wrong at home or in the household, and like one of my older brothers got on to him about it, or anybody for that matter, because he was the youngest, then it would automatically play. He would automatically play the victim and blame it on him being that way.
Okay, so you have people who would do certain things, but to shield themselves when they're being noticed, they would claim, no, I'm the victim, even though they're the one, they're the people who are selling or causing the issue. All right, I got you. All right, come on. I understand it now, but go on.
it went on like for even until this day, you know, like it was this all kind of rumors being spread by saying that's why him and his dad didn't get along, and all of his brothers and sisters was because he was like.
Now, Alois, is this along the lines of the gay persuasion, or this is just something happening with your siblings?
Yeah. No, I'm talking about. Yeah, that's because he's gay.
Oh, okay. See, now we get in context. You had a little brother that was dealing on the other side, causing issues up in the house.
Right.
All right. Okay, I got you. All right. So.
And that just went on until this day. This is how he is.
Did he get his life together? Is he okay, or he's still starting trouble?
He's still starting trouble, and I'm. No, he hasn't gotten anything together. It's just people still dealing with the repercussions of his.
Okay.
actions.
All right. Well, I'm digressing. We're about to break down the broadcast. I only got a few more calls. Thank you, but let your brother know that it's open for him to, come to the knowledge of the truth. Give him Genesis 19. Leviticus 18, 19, and the 20th chapter, and let him read that, and let him know it's still an opportunity. It's not over. Okay, there's a chance for him, just like everyone else who's under sin. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. He's watched the videos and he's figured out some stuff, but he's still.
Let him know whenever he's ready for that water. Hey, there's some water for him.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. And again, I would like to announce our Hebrew and Bible Academy, October 31st. I hope you all are invited. We will be going into. That's right. There is no alien invasion. The so-called aliens have always been here. The Catholic Church and the Islamic Church, all the churches have hid the fact that the fallen gods are the true controllers of this earth. And I'm going to go into that in the academy. Finding the Ark of the Covenant, the greatest weapon known to mankind. That's right. We'll be going into the Ark of the Covenant, the power of the Ark, and how the Most High will reveal that back to us again in the wilderness. We'll also be going into, in the Hebrew and Bible Academy, you don't want to miss it, surviving the wilderness. That's right. The tribulation of the wilderness. How even when we were together, needed to stand together for the sake of survival, there was always friction in the wilderness. Okay, so I'm going into the tribulation of God's people in the wilderness. The Hebrew and Bible Academy will be up, man. It's going to be, I'm going into it. We got brand new features that's going to make it more interactive and all that. So I hope you're there. October 31st. Elder Dell just put the link in the chat. HistoryTimes.org. I hope to see you. It's 3 full months of serious information you cannot get anywhere on earth, only amongst this church. HistoryTimes.org. We only had about 3 more calls, and then I'm going to wish you all Godspeed. I'm past 10 o'clock. Quam is live from the New York body. Quam.
Hey, Shalom, Elder.
Shalom, Quam. How are you?
I'm all right, man. Best by the best. I just wanted to say, I've been dealing with this for a while myself, with the family and all that kind of stuff in school. One particular thing, I just want to say 2 things, but one particular thing that came up. My daughter, I don't know if you're familiar with roadblocks and all that stuff, but my daughter was being, I would say, recruited, I guess, or trying to be recruited, to accept the fact that there's alternative lifestyles out there by the people that play on it, because it's like an online thing. It's a bunch of little kids, and a lot of them are saying, I'm gay, I'm lesbian, this, that, the third. And my daughter began to speak out about it based on the stuff that we told her, and was trying to convert them innocently, to read the Bible and to understand that, being part of the letter group is not what Christ would want.
It's against the Bible, against God. But go on.
Right, and they wound up banning her for like 3 months. She's 8, and they banned her for speaking against the letter people, innocently. It wasn't like she was bashing them or anything like that. She was just, trying to spread the word of the Most High, the things that we taught her in the house, and they wound up banning her and keeping her off the game for about 3 months or something like that. It's an innocent game. They build things and stuff like that. It's nothing crazy, but it just goes to show you that they have the children so indoctrinated that, they out there trying to persuade them at such a young age, and they allowing their children to do this to other children, saying it's innocent. The other thing I wanted to say was based on what you was talking about with Dave Chappelle last week. You see how they tried to bash him and they talk about he was punching down or whatever, and as soon as somebody from their own community tries to help out and say that this guy is not trying to bash us, I know him and things like that, they turn on their own people and wound up making that person kill themselves. So it goes to show you that their agenda has nothing to do with us feeling sorry for them. It's more of them being right all the time, and they would even turn on their own people to the point where one of them will kill themselves based on how their own community feels about them. So it's really, like they want us to feel sorry for them, but they don't really want us to feel sorry. They want to be right all the time. And like you said, it's easier for a man to become a woman than for Muhammad Ali to change his name. And these are the things that they pushing in the schools. It's like, the Santa and Santa thing. I don't know if you heard of that book. They got the Santa and Santa book. They got the Adam and Steve dolls now. It's just, it's getting out of hand, man. It's getting out of hand. But there's an excellent lesson you brought out today, man. I appreciate it, man. It just shows the signs of the time, man. And I hope that all those people that have their children in school are looking to do something with homeschool, and that would probably be our best bet. And last thing, Elder, man, I got that movie script ready whenever you're ready, man. It's almost done.
All right, hey man, I can't wait. And one thing I would like to, you brought some great points. When you got it, bring it to me. One thing I would never agree with, Kwam, brother, and that's one-way aggression. One-way aggression. It's unfair that they can use something to target children, to talk one side about something without an objective view. When there's no more objectivity, then there's no more freedom. I don't want to hear about that where you can talk about and try to initiate my daughter, my child, into a lifestyle I've never discussed with her or him. But yet when my child shows the knowledge of God to push back, you have to ban the child? The child is not anti-nothing. No, it's just that everything's come with what? Objectivity. How can it be? Never stand one-way aggression, where someone can do whatever they want without no expectations of someone giving an opposing view. Guess what? I'm not even like that with teaching the word of God. This is the word of the Most High. And no way we can teach this and just go one way and then somebody say, well, I don't want to. If you can have opposing views all you want because you have the right to do so. That's to let you know that something is wrong with this. Because you can push something with aggression without any expectation of someone bringing an opposing view. Nah, that's evil in of itself. It's okay to bring an opposing view. So unless you're going to use these children games and all that as what? Bait to move them. And this lets you know, folks, I'm going to tell you, it's a political agenda, because in order for them to grow a constituency, because a constituency is you get enough numbers to have political power to a point where a representative would have to represent you. Well, when you are a minority or a low number, you must have systemic what? Recruiting to grow your political base. And you cannot do that and have a group that's getting funded unless you're targeting towards the children to replace those in your group who might die down the line. So it's to keep the group intact and to grow the group by targeting the children. It's politics, folks. And it's one-way aggression. And listen, and I feel that everyone have the right to do what they want to do. It's your business. At the end of the day, you're gonna have to stand before the same God we are. Judgment is gonna happen for each person. So you can do whatever you want. That's your life. But understand, we don't have to agree with it. And if it's against our values and morals, we have every right to fight against our children being indoctrinated with it. And that's all we're saying. Thank you, Kwam. You always bring great points. The water, my brother.
I appreciate it. Shalom, brother.
Shalom. I'm going to open up the calls tomorrow a little bit, but Yvonne and Nina, I only got 2 more calls, and then Sunshine, I know you probably written something down, but you got to call in tomorrow so I can get you in. Let me get some of these newer people, okay, Sunshine? I'm sorry. Okay, Yvonne, come on in, Yvonne.
Shalom, Elder.
Shalom, how are you?
I just wanted to make I'm doing well. I just wanted to make a comment on the fact, these transgenders, the men,
okay.
I'm a woman and I'm no match for a man. To say something to him, as bad as I would want to, like you trying to be like me, because I know he already hates me because he can't beat me.
Yeah.
And then they'll be ready to fight you, okay? And then that's when it's going to be a knockout. They're going to just straight knock me out, okay?
Yeah.
Because I am the type, I will say something, but I know that's not I can't come up against that. Now, you give me one of them women that try to, that's acting like a man, I can say something to her. You know what I'm saying? And then she say something, that I can deal with that. But that's why I say our brothers, and if they would, because a lot of these brothers, they be down low and, and they be, they just, instead of them, because I know where I grew up at, my brothers and cousins, they see somebody like that, they be like, man, you better get your mind right. Get the stepping, because they, but a good beat down. That's what you're going to get, So, we can't a woman can't do anything as far as that goes with them. But dealing with the woman, yes, we can, we can say something to her and, tell her, listen, sister, you a woman and God is not pleased with that. You know what I'm saying? And then, and that's how that goes. And then, like, as far as, like, our children in these schools, well, like my grandchildren.
Yeah.
I've told my daughters, they homeschool them.
Okay, great.
It's
fantastic.
tough, and they make it tougher for them that do homeschool, but they dead on it. You know what I'm saying? And they know this because I've been telling them, listen, they're gonna do it. They're gonna make it hard for you. And I'm a school bus driver also, and I see all the these different ones, that they got all these women, like you said, running the show. They got all these women. They run the show, and they be really trying to push at our children in ways, that trying to belittle them. And I've seen them, try to knock their spirit down. The little boys especially, they do that with. Yeah, and then, and then they're trying to push a lot of stuff. Like, okay, I have one little grandson. He's in pre-K.
Okay, now I got one more call to take, sister, because I got a sister that's got to ask a question.
Yeah.
This is your last point, and then I'll go. Go ahead.
Right. Yeah, well, and this had to do with this the fluoride thing. They say, oh, well, we're going to put fluoride. They're doing dental care. I said, don't put no fluoride on him in his mouth, period. Not at all. And she looked at me, she's Gentile, and I said, do you understand what I'm saying? Because she's not saying nothing. I said, do you understand what I mean? I said, do not. Oh, well, we have a paper you can fill out. I said, well, bring me that paper, okay, because you will not do that. But, I'm just saying. So, so we as people together, we have to stand up. We're our children's voice, and we got to protect them. We have to protect them. And that's what I do as a grandmother.
Thank you. You know what? Sister, I'm gonna give you a round of applause for that. Okay. Thank you, Sister Yvonne. Someone is standing up. I'm not asking you to stand up against someone who was biologically born a man. That's not a good idea, okay? So, but still, when it comes to protecting your children, you did the right thing by saying you know what fluoride is. It's toxic. It causes all types of neurological issues. It's poison. Okay, so I'm glad she had the knowledge to know when someone say, yeah, we're going to put fluoride in your son's mouth. No, you're not going to lower my grandson's IQ. Mercury is destructive. It's toxic. It can destroy. Okay? And I'm glad she had the knowledge. All you have to do is type in mercury poison. Google it, mercury poison. And tell me, do you want that in your child's mouth? I'm sorry. I'm going to open it up for an hour just for phone calls tomorrow for Patreon because I have something to do this weekend. But tomorrow I'm going to open it up for between 12 and 1 just for calls on the Patreon. So we'll pick it up tomorrow between 12 noon and 1 p.m. Dejanique, last call for tonight. Sunshine, just call tomorrow. I'm sorry I'm unable to bring you in. Dejanique. How you doing?
Yes.
Last call. We only got a couple of minutes. 4 minutes before we go.
How you doing, Elder?
I'm blessed by the best. Your name?
I'm Alvin.
Talk to us, Alvin. Is you and Dajanique on the phone, both of you?
Yeah. She's gonna do the question next. I just wanted to go a little bit on what you was talking and something that the Most High has shared with me.
Okay.
Like it's in regard to the I just learned like when Christ was along with Satan and he was showing Christ all those the things Kingdoms. That he wanted him to the kingdom. When Satan was showing them all the kingdoms of this world, one thing the Most High showed me was that if you look at he called it Satan's mountain, and it's the heads of all these corporations. He showed me that like if you want to get to the top floor of all these corporate buildings, you have to be a Satanist. And he showed me one thing too, that the heads of them are all part of the LGBT. And this is how they're slowly gathering these people.
Hold up. Even though you are a caller, I have to say allegedly because there's nothing you have that can actually prove that.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Allegedly.
Okay.
Allegedly.
Go on.
I apologize for that.
Go on.
So, with that being said, allegedly, that the higher you go up within these corporations, this is how they entertain you through parties and the entertainment way, and they gather you in, and they have all these these parties to slowly renew your mind toward the way they want you to think, and like I said, when God showed me this, according to like when Satan was showing Christ all these things, this is
because I know you said that is Dejanique's name on the call. Do she have a question?
Yeah, she does have a question. I was going.
Okay, bring her on, and then you can explain that later because you're dealing with, you're dealing with what you feel or what you've been shown. You're not explaining to me how you were shown this. All right, so maybe it's something you came up with, and it's you build it with whatever the case is. But I went to the call because Dejanique had a question, right?
Okay, hold on one second.
Shalom, Elder. It's a question totally unrelated to the topic, but it's about my hearing loss because I have hearing, I think it's considered hearing loss is pressure on the ears, and I asked God Himself, is there a cure for it? And then I laid down, and He said, world spotted dark chocolate. I saw 4 dark chocolate bars, and I saw Hebrew words in the background, and so I don't know what that really meant. So I ate dark chocolate, but it's still no changes. So I really don't know about that.
Okay, all right, we got something going on here. All right, let me tell you what we got going on. What the brother who just said something?
Okay.
What's his name?
Alvin.
Okay, we got Alvin and we got Dejanique, who's just saying that they've been shown something. You've been shown to eat some chocolate to get your hair done. He was shown the top of a mountain. Where are you getting this information from, Dejanique? Where did you eat some chocolate from to grow your hair?
No, I just got it from a dream. Like, it was a vision. Like, I laid on my back and then I saw 4 dark chocolate bars. It's all the world's finest dark chocolate bars. You know, the kids be selling that one. And then I saw Hebrew words.
Sister,
okay.
Just let's relax for a second. Take your time. I'll take my time and answer your questions. All right. You're telling me we're on a program that's Bible based, and you're telling me you had a prayer about getting your hair back, and you fell asleep and dreamed of some chocolate bars, and you think it's the Most High who showed you these chocolate bars to grow your hair back.
Yeah, dark chocolate is something.
Okay. Let me ask you first, because I want to be clear. You're not trolling me here.
No, I'm not trolling you. I actually did have a dream.
Okay.
It was a vision. I laid on my back and then I closed my eyes and I saw 4 dark. It was pertaining to my hearing loss because my ears were feeling heavy and it was discomforting. And I said, God, is there a way for like a cure for hearing loss instead of, because there's no cure for hearing loss right now. But
how old are you, sister? How old are you?
I'm 22.
Okay, 22. Nice to meet you. Where you from? Where you from, sister?
I'm from Jacksonville, Florida.
Okay. All right. Nice to meet you, sister. Nice young lady. At no time did you, just straight up, and you be honest with me, at any time in your life have you done hallucinogens or any types of drugs?
No.
You drug free?
Yeah, I'm drug free.
Okay. No cookies, no cakes, no lace stuff?
No, but...
Huh?
No, but I did have... No, I had a lot of loud jobs, and I think that was the problem. My ears messed up from all the loud jobs.
You had a what?
A lot of loud jobs.
I don't understand what you just said. A lot of what?
A lot of
loud jobs.
A lot of loud jobs. Okay, so your hearing is not all together.
Yeah.
All right. So let's do it one thing at a time. Okay, let's do it one thing at a time. And okay. How long have you been listening to our church?
Our church, I think that's like for a month now. I think because my ears have been hurting every time I watch y'all. So yes, I've been watching y'all for like a month.
Oh, okay, good. All right. So you said that you were dealing with hair loss. Is it because of the things, the stuff you've been putting in your hair that actually pulled your hair out?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, what you used to put on lace fronts and different types of.
Oh no, no. It's not my hair.
I think she's saying hearing loss.
Yes.
Hearing loss.
Yes, hearing loss. Yes.
Oh, I thought you said hair loss. I'm sorry. I'm okay. Thank you, Elder Lawyer. You are suffering from a hearing loss. Thank you. That praise the Most High. Hearing loss. All right, because I had to get something straight then. Okay. Excuse me for my questions. Let me reel it back now. You said that you had a hearing loss. And you prayed for it to actually go away. And what happened was while sleeping, something said eat chocolate and your hearing would come back.
I guess so. Dark chocolate. It said world's finest dark chocolate, and then Hebrew words in the background. I said, what does that mean? So I ate dark chocolate, but I just.
Okay, you said he said it was okay. Obviously, there was something there in your dream that you perceived to be the Most High telling you what to do to get your hearing back. Correct?
Yes.
All right, great. What area? Let me get what area you live in again.
The Florida, Jacksonville, Florida.
Florida. Okay, thank you, lawyer, for that. What I'm going to do, can you be reached on this number?
Yes.
Okay, great. Hold on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get Elder Fresnel over in Florida to call you and pray with you. Okay, if you're willing to go sit down with the congregation, he can anoint you and pray with you. Okay. Because,
okay.
All right. And how long have you been dealing with your hearing loss? How many years?
I think it's a couple months.
So months, not even a year ago, your hearing was fine and you begin to lose it. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Hearing. Okay. And you have your Bible. You read your Bible, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Now, the Bible tell you about how to regard dreams. It's like catching a shadow. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And what we have to be careful from, and this is what led me to my questions. When we follow more so dreams without confirmation of the word, if we start leaning towards dreams and what we think, it falls into divination. Where we're more so lean towards a dream than the word of the Most High. And I'm saying that's the reason why I was asking you those questions, because I'm very leery of people who talks about visions and what they're shown without much scripture, without a foundation it's based upon. You know what I mean? You with me?
Yes.
And I'm not saying visions and dreams doesn't have validity, but you have to know the word of the Most High and pray and meditate on the word of the Most High to weigh your visions, because everything is in our dreams, good and bad.
Yes.
Okay. So you have to confirm,
yes.
You have to confirm what's what and where it's coming from. Because why? Suppose a vision told you or something told you in a dream to eat that and you don't receive your hearing back. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So then that'll begin to weigh on your faith on whether or not you have enough faith and all those other things, when really the Bible says where two or more together, he's in the midst. There could be many reasons that the Most High, or whatever the case is, it could be physical, it could be whatever the case is, where your hearing is dwindling, that you can pray with the saints and we can start, praying that the Most High heal you and it will begin to come back, because you're not totally deaf. But what I would think you need to do, though, you should actually, believe it or not, and I'm selling you this, at least go to a doctor to see whether or not it was you, wherever you were working, your headphones. Are you using those headphones that goes into your ear, the ones that sticks into your ear, the Bluetooth and all those things?
Yes. I did, like, yeah. I did a long time ago.
Yeah, nah. You got to give your ears time to heal. Because when you stick those things in your ears, it goes right on your eardrums and it will affect your hearing long term. You have to give your ears a break. I'll have Elder Fernell call you. He'll pray with you. But still go to an ear doctor to see if you damaged your ears during that time. You could have ear damage. Okay?
Okay.
All right, but again, never regard a dream. Regarding a dream is like catching a shadow. You ever try to catch one? It's there, but it doesn't exist. All right?
Yes.
So let's get into real-time fixing issues. All right? There's cause and effect. There's a root issue to why you begin to lose it. And guess what? The Most High can bring it back, but we have to find out whether or not there's damage there, okay?
Okay.
All right. And brother, I got your number. I'm gonna call you up, and we're gonna discuss the root of your understanding concerning. Because listen, I'm not saying you're wrong when it comes to those that are at the top floors of these particular buildings. All right, but sometimes we have to be careful when we're going into philosophy without the word of God as the base. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, so I'm going to give you a call. I have your number. Elder Lawyer, thank you for clearing it up for me. It's been a pleasure talking with y'all this evening. At the end of the day, this discussion only leads to one thing: us building a moral base and standing on it. And it doesn't matter what the agendas are out there. We are not to be moved off of the word and laws of God. That's where when you push, we push back. Okay? Believers do not compromise their morality and their stance concerning morality going forward. We will push back with the word of God, not to harm anyone, but to have a conversation that leads to repentance and us being one with the Almighty. With that, I'm going to say shalom. Thank you, elders. You've been great. May the Most High be with you all. Stay prayed up. Sin not. We will soon see Zion. And yes, the Most High is calling back Israel. Hold on. Let me see if I can find that song. Oh, here it is. A jungle. It's a jungle out there.
Oh man, oh wow, that jungle, get wild. It's trouble, most high, keep shake, alive. Oh wow, that jungle, get wild. It's trouble, most high, keep shake, alive. That jungle is crazy. That jungle is crazy. That jungle is crazy. That jungle and that jungle. That jungle is crazy. That jungle is crazy. That jungle is crazy. That jungle.
Yeah, it's true before your eyes. A myth ain't no surprise. How they got you watching movies, you believe that it's a lie. A fallen angel dropping people wish up on the star. Misconceive that it's a demon lacking knowledge, got them sleeping. The signs of zodiac is an illusion, so they ruin. Strong delusion, got them moving in the path of straight confusion. What if everything you was taught up in school was all wrong? What if them things you think is a myth is really true, but all along they put it in your face and got you thinking it's a fiction? When it's real serpent people controlling the whole system. Listen, they dealing with inventions that's wicked. The Resident Evil army coming soon, no superstition. These phony doctors, warlocks, prescribe you with prescriptions. They shoot spirits up in it and you wonder why you tripping. They hunger, thirst through evil, afflicting, attacking, work destruction, bringing forth the personal world of lies and deception.
Oh wow, that jungle, get wild. It's trouble, most high, keep shake, alive. Oh wow, that jungle, get wild. It's trouble, most high, keep shake, alive. That jungle is crazy. That jungle is crazy. That jungle is crazy. That jungle and that jungle. That jungle is crazy. That jungle is crazy. That jungle is crazy. That jungle and that jungle.
I'm a Judah gorilla, who wanna feel it? Catch me swinging from vines, might be chewing vanilla. Yeah, Madagascar, so now you wanna test it. I'm pursuing the scriptures, tell me who wanna test us. Not a foolish professor, keep a tool on the dresser. Beautiful like Sarah, kick just like a mule in a heifer. Since we moving like leopards, they refusing to step up. We the Jews by blood, they just oozing some ketchup. In the room playing dresser, but you're not that fly. Revelations 2:9, you are not that guy. Son of perdition on a plundering mission to take souls, take gold, straight roll, bring back everything it's sold. It's a jungle, Deuteronomy 28 and 68. Took the slaves of the ways to this place in a maze in a cage. Where we escaped, cause Yeshua left a shame. Yeah, know what I'm talking about?
Oh wow, that jungle, get wild. It's trouble, most high.
You gotta download it from the site too.
Trouble come my way. I'm just, I'm straight, no stress. I'm crazy. That jungle is crazy. That jungle is crazy. That jungle is crazy. That jungle and that jungle. That jungle is crazy. That jungle is crazy. No stress. I'm crazy. That jungle and that jungle.
I'm a Judah gorilla.
Y'all have it soon. Shalom.